What's up, Mastermind family? How's everyone doing tonight? Whoa, got some feedback there. How's everyone doing tonight? Welcome, as usual. We're on time. You know, we call ourselves the on time gang, punctual programmers. You know, it's something I'm really gonna try to. I want to never be late. I really want to never be late. It was always a struggle when I was in the office, because I would, every time I would click the starting soon and I would start streaming, and then I would run down and get some coffee, and then I would go talk to somebody, and someone would say something to me, and then I would like, oh, I thought I was chatting for 2 minutes. Nope, it's been 10. And then I'd be like 2 or 3 minutes late. So one of my goals is to make sure that I'm on time. Let's get where's the music? There we go. Get a little music going. It's a little bit quiet over here. What's up, right? What's up, everyone? What's up, Red Arrow, WWW, Zoe, 4016, Key Lime TV, Mined or Mind. What's up, DJ Jackson? What's up, Cinema Monster? Good to see you, Triquetta. Cole 13, KCO 13. What's up, Blake's Bless K24? What's up, Jockey Shreds? What's up, Foxtrot? I like that. What's up, Jonic Zoom 77? Good to see you. What's up, Mello? How's everyone doing tonight? What's up, Sicko? Joe? What's up, Green John, the real deal? How's everyone doing tonight? I hope everyone's ready tonight. We're gonna be doing, I called it a little bit of an audible, so if anyone, I haven't posted it yet, but I don't know if anyone remembered what we went over last time. That this time we were supposed to be doing bits, bytes, and binary, plus getting our dev environment set up. But tonight we're going to switch it up a bit, and we're actually going to do a little bit of Linux tonight, plus the dev environment setup, because once I was looking over it, and like as I was like taking a look at the slides and stuff, it made more sense to kind of put these two things together, because some of the installation for the programming languages and frameworks and things that we're going to install require a little bit of command line knowledge, and so this is not going to require you to install virtual machine or anything like that. This is more of a, it says a little bit of Linux, so you are going to learn a little bit of Linux, and you're going to learn why, but it's also going to be a command line kind of instructional a little bit for people who are Windows as well. So I do have the basics of getting around there for everyone, so everyone should be covered there, and we'll get everything set up. We'll get all our languages and frameworks set up, and we'll start running some stuff. We'll definitely get hands on keyboard tonight, so it should be pretty fun. Terrence is home. What's up, an Angry Mohawk? He's at home. We're trying to figure out how to make it all work, but appreciate my sweet Mario Kart shirt. I haven't played Mario Kart in a while, but I'm pretty good at it, so if anybody wants to play, I have a Switch here that has not been charged in months, but I'll you know, we're home. I'll play some Mario Kart if anybody wants to play. Yes, also for anyone who tried to go back and watch the last video, it is on YouTube. It should be live now. It went live on time, but there was it got copyright striked and taken down, so I had to trim out the piece that had the song that they didn't like. So that should be back up. There's like a 3-minute missing chunk in the middle there. I'm sorry about that. So tonight we are using a copyright free playlist, so we should be good to go. Hopefully that'll keep us from having the problems that we have. I know there's services for this. There's stuff like Pretzel. I might try all that out. But for now, we got what we got. So Windows subsystem for Linux, yeah, you can use that tonight if you want, for sure. What free Linux distro do you recommend learning? I always recommend for first time users, if you're going to use it as a desktop, I recommend Ubuntu or Ubuntu. But if your goal is to only learn it how to do a job, I do still recommend that, but sometimes I recommend CentOS, because Red Hat based distributions are pretty common in the workplace if you're just gonna be running on a server. You know, and I think it's good to kind of understand Yum and all that stuff, but we'll talk about all that. You got Overwatch installed on Linux? So I tried it with Lutros, and I struggled. It ran at high frame rate, but like the inputs were weird. So I don't know. All right, what channel, where do you store these videos? It's just, yeah, there we go. Appreciate that. So the slides should be up in Google Classroom if you already are in there, but if not, you know, I'm gonna get you the link right now. Let's share. But as usual, we'll give people a few minutes to get on in. What's up, Jumpin' Jacks? Welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for the follow. Let's get the link out here for you all. Uh-oh. There we go. There we go. Can you explain the benefits of subscribing again? Excellent. So if you subscribe, before you had to subscribe to get access to the Google Classroom, not the case anymore. Subscribing, one, it makes it so that you don't have to watch any ads. So that's one thing. Two, it'll allow for, you'll have access to the Discord, which I'll place some priority on for questions. And there's also times when the questions are super high that I'll put the chat into subscriber only mode, where only subscribers can ask questions. You get access to some emotes and stuff. But yeah, it's oh, appreciate that, an Angry Mohawk. Thank you for sticking around for so long. You've been an OG of the channel. It's good to see you. Glad to see some familiar faces or familiar names. But I got that link out there. Let's go ahead and get into the desktop view. And we're set up, but we're not in a rush. We're not in a rush tonight. Again, like I said, we will be hands on keyboard tonight. But we're gonna try to take it pretty slow. If you've never done anything on the command line, again, tonight's gonna feel pretty fun, because there's gonna be some instant gratification here, and I think high level, the concepts you'll be able to understand, and it'll give you a place to go play. Like, it'll give you enough information to go just play, and to get better at some things on your own. So I think that'll be fun, and we'll get ourselves in a space where we have, you know, our text editor set up, or a text editor. Maybe it's not the one you end up with, but with the tools and things that we need, we'll have, you know, we'll get Go installed, we'll get Python installed, we'll get probably Rust installed, JavaScript installed, just so we have some stuff to play with. But we'll write a little bit of code so we can practice, you know, seeing the benefits of our development environment and the setup that we have. And, you know, but we'll be heavily into the command line today, just learning how to navigate, understanding what it really is, understanding what you're doing. So for everyone new, again, not a big deal if you're new to this stuff. Like, we're going to take it slow, ask questions. It's okay if you're confused. Yeah, it's okay if you're confused. Try to get the high level concept of what we're doing, and then try to play with it later, but we will go slow. You recommend Vim for first time coders, Kid Shay? Nah. I mean, yeah, don't do it. Take some time. All right. Appreciate that tier 1 sub, Muchando. Really appreciate it. Good to have you as a part of the family. All right, let's go. Let's get going. The sooner we start, the more we can do, the more questions we can answer. So let's get going. All right, so we are going to be doing Linux. We're going to be working with Linux, or you should know about Linux. But why should you know about Linux? First, let's talk about what it is. So Linux is a free and open source operating system. So you might see the term FOSS. Yeah, that just stands for free and open source. Free and open source. And so it's an operating system. It's an OS, just like your Windows installation or your Mac OS installation. It is so free and open source means that it is the source code for it. The code, so we talked about last time, we talked about what source code was, the human readable code that you write. That code is up and available for you to see and to contribute to. So free and open source software. Now, you know, there's levels of free and open source, to be honest, but the intention of free and open source is that code is publicly available for you to take a look at, to contribute to. If you want to take that code and spin off and do your own thing with it, feel free. But yeah, it's you can go look at the source code for the Linux kernel. If you want to contribute to it, you can use GitHub, and you can use Git to go ahead and put in a pull request to be able to, you know, change some things or update some features. Now it's going to be up to someone else to, you know, determine if those things are correct, or if they're going to allow those things. But again, you have access to it. You can see it. You can contribute to it. It is a Unix-like operating system, as is Mac OS. What does that mean? And maybe I should have started with really just a kernel, but it's like, so a Unix is an operating system. It's actually a closed source operating system. I believe Unix is closed source. It was made by like Bell Atlantic Unix. let me get my Unix stuff going. Okay, the original AT&T Unix. Yeah, so AT&T was originally Bell Labs, Bell Atlantic, yep, Bell Systems. That's what I was looking for. So it is a Unix-like operating system, so it's a lot of it's based off of the Unix kernel, or a lot of the tools and the features are kind of based off of the Unix kernel. They are different. They're very closely related. Very closely related. There's you know, if I were to hand you a Unix system, you would be able to, after learning Linux, you would be able to get around and kind of figure out what's going on, even though things would operate a little bit differently. But Mac OS is the same thing, and because of legal reasons, you have to say Unix-like operating system, that's what you have to say. So it was created by a guy named Linus Torvalds. He's a pretty dope, interesting guy. Sometimes he has little rants and raves, but a pretty smart guy. He's probably made some of the biggest contributions to the tech industry. So not only did he introduce Linux, and we'll look at some market share for Linux. Linux really does run the world, but he also was responsible for Git. So you've heard us talk about GitHub before, but GitHub is just it's a repository. It's a commercial place to support the Git version control system, the Git technology. Git itself is also a free and open source technology, and it was also created by Linus Torvalds, and I believe it was created to help manage the workflow of developing the Linux kernel. I'm pretty sure, but maybe not. You know, sometimes we get those facts wrong, but he did in fact create Git as well. So like I said, some pretty influential pieces of tech there. And Linux is really just a kernel. So like right now, I told you it's a free and open source operating system, and you're probably taking a look at what I have here, and like it kind of looks like Mac and stuff, but Linux isn't the stuff you're seeing here. Linux it's a little engine basically, and it allows you to basically send commands into the hardware. Basically, it's a little, for now, it's just a little engine. And so that's really all Linux is. So what you're seeing on top of this, everything you're seeing is really a distribution. We're gonna talk about those in a second as well, but it's really just a kernel. So it's really just this little engine thing. It's not the full car. All right. So distribution. So I said Linux is just kind of the engine, or the kernel is just the engine. But you have a whole operating system here. You have the stuff you can see. What is all that stuff? That is a distribution. So there are a lot of Linux distributions, and so people ask in the chat, what Linux should I run? They're all Linux. They're all built on top of this Linux kernel. They're all built on top of the same engine. But a distribution is just it's a combination of packages and tools on top of this kernel. So you could go make your own distribution. You could say, hey, I like Linux. Let me take the Linux kernel. Let me include a bunch of tools and packages and programs that I think are valuable to people, and ship it out together. And that is essentially a distribution. So because of that, there are many distributions for you to choose from. And again, they're all just tools and packages, collections of tools and packages on top of the Linux kernel. And so because of that, the changes, the differences between them can be pretty substantial in the way that you use them, the way that they operate. But again, it's just programs, packaged up programs, collections of programs and things like that. Here, this is a picture that I know is hard to see, but it's just to show you that like, this is Linux. This is kind of the core. And this is just a timeline of how Linux distributions have branched off, just to see how many there are. But this is only like the mainstream ones. Look how there's so many here that you can see. These are just mainstream Linux distributions. There's many more that you can find. So many people have created their own. In fact, in a lot of computer science programs, they'll have you actually develop your own operating system on top of the Linux kernel. And so it's pretty cool. But this, again, not super important. There are a number of main lines here that I want you to know that it will be interesting for you to know about. The first one is kind of, so they're basically there are a few versions of Linux distributions that a lot of other distributions are based off of. So there's kind of a few lines. So one is Debian. Debian is what Ubuntu is based off of. It is a Debian based distribution. Pop OS, there's a bunch of Debian based distributions, all these up here. Elementary OS, Symphony OS, yeah, bunch of different things. Debian is its own distribution, but a lot of things are based off of it. There are Red Hat based distributions, which are down here. These are the two biggest lines, so that's why it's one's all the way up here, one's all the way down here. Red Hat is a commercial company, and so even though Linux is open source, Red Hat is a company that made a distribution on, over top of the Linux kernel, and then they have you pay for a license to provide support to you. So you're not paying for the distribution, you're paying for a license for support from them. And so generally people aren't using Red Hat a lot for desktop distributions. So like for, you know, managing things for your desktop, yeah, people do use it, but it's not really what its big market share is. Red Hat is the commercial product that's sitting on on a lot of servers. That's changing nowadays for sure, but Red Hat is on a lot of enterprise servers. This is the distribution that generally you'll be working with, or one of the options that's been built off of this. The common one, the free and open source version of this is CentOS. So this right here is the community version of Red Hat. So Red Hat, you have to get it, you have to pay a license fee for the support, and you can get it. I forgot how much it costs. I want to say it's like $50 or something like that. Red Hat does a bunch of other dope stuff as well. Pretty cool company actually. But how much is it? Try it free, they don't give you the price. I don't know. But CentOS is the open source version of it. So comes with basically all the same stuff. You know, essentially it's a clone, but it's not supported. There's no support, or it's community supported. So a lot of companies use this as well. And so those are the two big ones. There's a few other distributions. There's Arch Linux, which is a huge line through here. There's a few of them, but these are probably the two biggest ones. And for all intents and purposes, right now, the only difference you need to know about them right now is that they use two different package managers. So we're gonna talk about package managers later today. And that's kind of the initial defining factor for people who are just getting into Linux, is that one, Debian uses a package manager called apt, and one of them uses one called Yum. I think now it's switched to DNF, but Red Hat uses Yum. The other one, Debian, uses apt. Again, for this course, not incredibly important, but just something I think good to know for a while, for everyone. Okay, let's see. We'll go back up a little bit, see what I'm missing. A full Linux course? I've thought about it. I probably will. I definitely would like to. Linux is something I love a lot. What's up, LikeUB2? Welcome to the channel. Thank you for the follow. I was gonna quit Win for Linux only until Discord. My drivers are not compatible. Yeah, there's desktop Linux is a very interesting thing because of drivers. So I actually think that I think the reason why we say Linux runs the world, and so it's available on a lot, like most servers out there run Linux. I can almost guarantee, I would bet most of the money in my bank account, which isn't much, but most of it, that the way that you're watching this, the way that this stream is getting to your phone, to your computer, to your TV, is through a Linux machine. It's coming through a Linux box or series of Linux machines that are powered by Linux. So it really does, like most of the things you do, every day you interact with something that's delivering you data via Linux, guaranteed. You can't miss it. So yeah, I think one of the reasons is because it's a open source thing, because the community supports it. Hardware manufacturers are always making new hardware and stuff, so it's hard to continuously make drivers and compatibility layers for all that hardware. So desktop Linux is notoriously finicky when it comes to Wi-Fi drivers or graphics drivers, Bluetooth drivers, things like that. But that has changed a lot in recent years. It's still a problem. Still a problem for sure, and that's where it gets its bad rap of like, oh, you gotta be crazy smart to use Linux and gotta know all this stuff, and it is a bit of a hassle. It can be a bit of a hassle. That's honestly why I bought that. My laptop is a Linux laptop. I prefer Linux, but I don't really want to deal with some of the hassle sometimes. So I purchased a laptop from a company that builds drivers and stuff for their hardware. So it's worked out amazing, and that's why I use their distribution usually. But yeah, it's pretty dope. The Linux regular programs like games, yes, no, Linux absolutely can run games, all that stuff. It's not as compatible. Like the problem is a lot of companies know not that many people are using Linux as a desktop operating system, so a lot of companies don't support those things. But yeah, you can get Steam. I don't have Steam installed on here right now, but you can play games. You can see here I'm running Linux. I have Google Chrome and Hyper, and like I have Notion and a bunch of tools. Like you can get a lot of the same things on Linux. A lot of people don't know that, but yeah, Firefox, all those things you can use. All right, so that is a distribution. So real quick recap, just real quick: Linux, free and open source operating system. Unix like, created by a guy named Linus Torvalds. You don't got to remember that, but he's a pretty dope guy. You should probably look him up if you want. And remember that Linux, again, is just a kernel. I think that part is pretty important. And that a distribution is just a number of packages and tools that people decided to include on top of that kernel. And that there are a few different bloodlines of distributions. The two biggest ones being Debian and Red Hat. And they just have different tools and packages. For the most part, sometimes their architecture is a little bit different. Things have changed, but yeah, just different tools and packages that are sitting over top of them. So, yeah, so pretty simple. Like Linux isn't this wild and crazy thing at all. It's a piece of software, to be honest. So, what scares people normally is this: the CLI and CLI navigation. So right now you are looking at a graphical user interface, a GUI. You'll probably see this, a GUI, a graphical user interface. Everything we're looking at right here is a graphical user interface. A computer doesn't really care about this. A graphical user interface is just put in place for us, or humans, to more easily be able to input data into the computer, more easily be able to interact with the computer. But a computer doesn't care about that. Computer doesn't, we talked about computers being binary and understanding ones and zeros. So it doesn't really care about this. There are other things that the computer, the intake of data is done at a different level on a computer. So on servers and systems that that are going to be serving things that are going to be used for processing, they generally do not have this. They do not have a graphical user interface. You can install Linux without one. You do not need a graphical user interface. So if you don't install a graphical user interface, how do you interact with them? You interact with them via the command line. So I know this is a little bit confusing because the command line you're looking at right now is running in the GUI. So this is a graphical user interface for the GUI, but for the command line. But if we were to install Linux, we'd have the option to install it, the server distribution. And again, we would install it, and when it boots up, it would drop us into something that looks just like this. It will be black and white, most likely, no cool colors or anything, but it would essentially be this exact same thing. And so you wouldn't be able to see anything cool. You'll be dropped into this is a prompt, and this is command line interface. So we have the GUI, which is the graphical user interface, but this is the command line. This is the command line, which is the command line interface. So this is where you issue commands to your computer. When you do things like click, that is issuing your computer a command. Click here, it's issuing your computer a command. Here, we are now just gonna control our computer via commands rather than through the GUI. And so this is what we're gonna learn how to do. So in most jobs, yes, you might think that this is a job for a Linux administrator or a systems administrator. No, you will be, this is like integral to your programming job, to know basic navigation of the command line, because that is how you're going to interact and operate with your files. The way that the applications you write are going to be dependent upon things like file pathing and things that you're going to need to know that relate to this. So we're going to learn the basics of it. We're going to learn just enough so that we can really start to go build software and understand how to get around and do the things that we're doing. So yeah, so at the end of the day, this portal right here, this confusing command line interface, your terminal in your Mac or your command prompt on your PC, is nothing special. It is your computer. It really is just another way to interact with your computer. And we are about to see that live in action. So that's what we're gonna be learning tonight. You're gonna get to do some commands. Like I said, this is both set up for Windows and Mac. So before we start, any questions really quick? Let me see if I missed any questions, which I know I did. Did you copy the Lotion library to user bin? I did not. All I did was I just ran their install script. I put it in documents and ran their install script. That is Slime Yeshua. That's a good, that is a really good kernel definition there. Let's see. Matter says, well, I'm saying comments in full screen, distracting. Comments in full screen. I've missed. Oh, I see in the comments. Yeah. I can see that. What's up, Just Machine? Thank you for the host. I'm sorry. Yeah, that I can see how that would be distracting. But it's super helpful for people who watch the stream afterwards. Who are not watching in real time. I've heard it, like a lot of people have given me feedback that it's pretty interesting. And that it helps a lot so people know what we're currently discussing at the time. I'm sorry about that. And a stream track for DevOps stuff. Great question, Sin City. Yes, there is. That is on Saturday. It's called Pipelines. It's from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern time. That covers that stuff. It's a journey into software delivery, automation, and infrastructure. It's kind of a DevOps / SRE course. Solus is Debian based. This is not Solus. This is Linux. I mean, this is Ubuntu, soon to be Pop OS. Hyper is not what you need to download. Everyone's computer, unless you're on a Chromebook, you have what you need for this. On Mac, the program you're going to be using today is your terminal. So if you hit command spacebar, type in terminal, it'll pop up. For Windows, for anyone who didn't previously install WSL, no big deal. We're going to be using the command prompt for you today. And I'll give you some options later, but the command prompt is all you need for today. So, hit the Windows key, type in command, and you'll see the command prompt there. And for anyone on Linux, you can also use the terminal. Yeah, I will go ahead and get it open. We're gonna go over a few things, but you can either watch me do some things, and you can try it yourself. I do encourage you to try along with some of this stuff. I think it'll help cement it. But yeah. Okay. So let's talk about command line navigation. And actually, well, do I want to start here? Yeah, I want to start here. Okay. We're going to jump straight into it and learn some of the commands. So the first thing we want to do when we're learning how to operate via the command line is learn how to navigate. So the first thing we want to do is start to orient ourselves. We want to know where we are. We need to know where we are in the computer. Where you are in the computer is very, very important. Your location is very, very important for a lot of reasons that you're going to see shortly. But here are some ways to determine where you are. So on Linux and Mac, you can run a command called pwd. It stands for present working directory. I give you the name of it so it helps you understand. We're gonna run it in a second, but it shows you the location that you are currently at on your computer. I know you might not know what that means. What do you mean by location? You're gonna see in a second. But pwd is how you do that. And then ls is a command to list out the things that are currently where you are. And so that'll help you see what files and directories are around you, and it'll also give you some insight on where you can go from where you are. So, and we're gonna see that real time, so it makes sense. Windows, it's a little bit differently. Actually, this is not. Yes, no, this is right. The command on Windows to see where you are is actually cd, which may be confusing for our Linux people. and for the Windows people once we get a little farther. But to see what's in that directory, it's the dir command, and we're gonna do both of those really quick. So what do we mean by where am I? What do we mean by figuring out our location and orienting ourselves? So right now I'm gonna type in pwd. Let's make this larger. Larger. All right, I type in pwd. It says I'm in /home/mastermind. Notice I pronounced the slashes. Notice I said the slashes. It's very important. Not important that you say them, but important that you acknowledge that they're there. The slashes are very important. But this is the file location that I'm currently at, and it's listed from the root directory. We're gonna talk about absolute versus relative file pathing in a second, but just know this is my location on the computer. You don't even know what it means, but this is my location. So pwd tells you where you are. If I type in ls, if I type in ls, I get a listing of things that are in the current location that I'm at. So look at this. I have documents, desktop documents, and Firefox wallpaper, public videos. I have these things right now. This doesn't give you very much information, but it does tell you things that are here. So the location that I'm at here is no different than the location I'm at on my computer. So but think of it very specifically as being your file explorer. Like, don't think about the rest of your computer. I want you to be thinking in terms of your file explorer. So this would be on a Mac, this would be your Finder. And on Windows, it will be File Explorer. So think about it in terms of that. So the place that we currently are is /home/mastermind. And so from the GUI, it looks a little bit different, but it's essentially the same thing. Right now, it says I'm in home. I'm in my home directory. So really, that's just a visual way for you to know that you're in /home/ whatever your username is. But I'm in my home directory. But you can see here that I have desktop, documents, downloads, pictures, music, templates, snap, public. And if we look here, I have the same stuff: desktop, documents, downloads, music, public, snap. So Firefox wallpaper.png, we're seeing all of these things. Let's put this over on the left, put this over here. I do an LL instead. That's not better because it's too large. But you can see that I have the same stuff over on the left than I have over on the right. So that is my location. I am in this home folder right here. I'm here. Like I'm in the same place. So anything that I do here, I can see over here. So watch this. I'm gonna right click. Where's that free space? How do I like get a free space in here? Can I do this? What's happening? New folder. So I'm gonna make a new folder and I call this stream test. All right, so I made a new folder in my operating system, the way that you currently know how to make a folder. So I right clicked and click make a new folder. But now over here, if I do another ls, look at this. Now this wasn't here before, but it is here now. So I do that only to really express to you that like this isn't a special place. This is not like some special thing on your computer. All this is an interface to control your computer in the same way that you can control it via the GUI. Yeah, and then you just need to know how to get around. So what we're gonna learn how to do is how to get around and how to manage files and folders really quick. So so we're here, we're in this location. So if you are at a location, you obviously need you can deduce that you can move locations, and so let's change our locations. Yes, in Windows you can do CD. So actually I can show you guys that really quick. Display capture. Can you see? Hold on, let me see if I can show you. Why is it not showing? Display. I thought I could show my, oh, I can. I just need to move it above. Hold on. Is that better? Yeah, there we go. So this is my Windows machine. Same things. If I want to see where I currently am, now it does tell you here. We'll talk about prompt in a second, but check this out. You type in CD, and it spits it out for you. It says, hey, you are in users Aaron Brooks. That's where I am on my Windows computer. And so that's how you can see where you are. So always use that command to know where you're at if you need to, because your location is very important. So on Linux, it's an ls. We'll talk about flags and stuff in a second to make it better. But on Windows, it's cd. And then on here, if you want to list what's in this directory, so you can see how ls does not work in Windows, but dir does. dir is what you need to type in, like directory. And so this is going to list out what's in this directory for you. But this is the exact same thing. So I'm currently in this Aaron Brooks folder. I can go into the documents folder and create what I want or do what I want there. So first two commands is how do you see where you are, and how do you list what is in the current location that you're, how do you see what's where you are. So Linux ls is how you see what's in that directory, and pwd, present working directory, is how you see where you are. All right. So also, if you want to see on Linux, just to give you guys a little bit extra for a second, I don't want to confuse you, but if you do an ls-l, now you'll get an output that's longer, that looks more like the one in Windows. Like it'll look a little more like the one we had in Windows if you do that. All right, that's the first piece. Any questions about that? You've learned your first two Linux commands. One is to know where you are, and one is to see what is at the location that you're currently at. Any questions about this? If you use Windows PowerShell, both CD and PWD will work. I did not know that, Cinemonster. Thank you. Let's try that out actually. So if you are on Windows, I like PowerShell a lot actually, even though it's kind of little there actually. Hold on, I'm back in my Windows. I think I can open up a PowerShell session, make this bigger, and you're telling me that in Windows I can do PWD? That is beautiful. Thank you. So I can see where I'm at in Windows. Oh, that's nice. What about ls? Oh man. So maybe I need to go back. See, now that shows you that I don't do a lot of stuff with Windows, or I do a lot of stuff with Windows, but as you can see here in Windows, I actually have my Linux installation as well. But that's cool. So it looks like in PowerShell is another shell interface to interact with the Windows kernel actually. So it looks like you can do ls and PWD in Windows as well. So maybe I'll start telling people to do that. I appreciate that. Something new I learned. I'm composing a list of all the things that I learned from stream, because I learned like from the chat, because I've been learning a bunch of stuff over the past few months. So that's going straight on there. I'm gonna write up a little post about it, about all the different things I've learned. So that's pretty dope. Thank you, Cinemonster. That is really cool. Yeah, everyone ignore any rm-rf commands that people tell you to do. We're gonna learn how to use the rm command tonight. It can be dangerous, but people will joke with you a lot. Don't just run random commands right now. CD is not only for Windows, but CD in Linux does a different thing. So I don't even want to confuse you there. They actually do the same thing, but just CD alone, just CD by itself, they do two different things in Mac. I mean, in Windows and in Linux and Mac. So, we're going to get to that in a second as well. How do you get Linux? You can get Linux for free from the whatever associated website. So if you just Google Ubuntu or Fedora or CentOS, you can download an ISO to install it. I recommend you do it with VirtualBox first. I actually have a video that I'll point you to where we installed it inside of VirtualBox. You can install it on your machine as well, but it's a little more dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. But I'll give you guys the resources for that for sure. Okay, PowerShell versus WSL2. WSL2 all day. WSL2 is amazing. It's Linux. It's literally Linux. It's an entire Linux kernel inside of Windows, but it's not available yet for mainstream for public availability. But I think it's coming out soon. But WSL2 for sure. Okay. Appreciate that, Jumpin' Jacks, for the Twitch Prime sub. Thank you so much. Really do appreciate it. So let's get back over to the fun stuff. So take it in. I give you two commands. What do they do again? It's important to know what the commands do. Now, one important thing about Linux commands or the command line for anything is there's a lot of memorization here. You'll pick up tools over time. It's okay. You don't need to go out and know all of the commands all at once. I Google commands every day. There's plenty of commands I never remember how to use. Not important. These are two very important ones that you'll use pretty often. So all the ones that we learn tonight, you'll probably want to memorize as a part of your core command line skills. So yeah, so know where you are and know how to see what is at the location that you're currently at. Okay, pretty dope. Pretty simple. A lot of feedback there though. Like you get to actually start to see things, and I'm hoping you're making the connection again between the command line not being the special thing, but it's just your computer. The same computer you're looking at is just that computer. We will talk about aliases a little bit. So I actually use the alias LL. We'll talk about aliases once we get to the end of this section. Once we learn how to navigate, we'll talk about aliases. All right, this is the most important concept that you need to learn tonight. It's very important. I've seen people start to learn how to code and run into big problems with file pathing and understanding file paths. Yeah, and they've already learned how to really do the work, and they've learned how to really algorithmically solve problems. But when you are working with applications and tools, you'll be working with many files and working with different things in different directories, and file pathing is super duper important. So right now you don't need to open what file should be opening? I don't think nothing right now. Any regex plan for this class? We'll do a little bit of regex, but that will come in the intermediate class in the next 8-week session, because regexes are so crazy. All right, file paths is pretty wild. Not wild, but pretty important. So there are two types of file paths. There's absolute file paths and there are relative file paths. Now they both of these concepts apply to both Windows and Unix and Mac and Linux, but they're a little bit different. Like I should have put this is Linux over here, and I'll tell you what this means in a second. So let's talk about absolute file paths. Absolute file paths are the complete list of directions from the root of the file system to get to the file that you want. So it's the full entire path to get from start to finish. All right, it's just like going to Google Maps and figuring out how to get from your home, from your house to Target. It's the full set of directions to get from your house to Target. Even if you're not at home, it's the full set of directions. And on Linux and on Unix and Mac, it always begins with a slash. Very, very important. If it starts with a slash, automatically that is an absolute file path. As soon as you put that slash there in the beginning, it makes it absolute. This is very important. Remember I said, why was I saying /home /mastermind? I was saying that because the slash is very, very important. So there's kind of an example over here, /home /abrooks /apps /file.txt. This is an apps, like if I wanted to reference a file, let's say I was using a program that said, hey, what file do you want to upload? And I was doing it from the command line. I would probably have to give it, I would need to give it the full location. So /home abrooks apps file.txt. From the GUI, I could just go there and I can just click on it. But from the command line, I need to specify, I may need to specify the entire path to it. Again, it starts from slash. Let's talk about slash really quick. Before we talk about relative, let's talk about slash. Slash is the root. It's referred to as the root of your system. It is the entry point to your whole system. So it's the place that the entire operating system and file system is connected. So like the root is like it is your computer, and it's the beginning of everything. Everything else in your computer exists on root, but it all branches from root. So I have a bunch of stuff here, but root, slash is the root of my computer. So everything exists off of that. So again, the current place that we are right now You will never run pwd and it not start with a slash, because pwd tells you where you are, absolutely, like your whole path to get there. And so this path is the safest path. You can always use the absolute path if you want. So right now I am currently in the mastermind directory. If I do an ls, I'm gonna jump ahead just a little bit. I'm gonna move into a new directory really quick. And in this directory, there are some files. I'm in the documents directory. If I do a pwd, look, that present working directory now changes. I'm at /home /mastermind /documents. That is where I am now. And so it's important to know that, like, these paths, there is a hierarchy here. It's like a directory tree. So mastermind is actually, so everything is inside of what is to the left. If you see anything to the left, everything to the right of it is inside of it. So like home is inside of / and mastermind is actually a directory that's inside of home, and documents is actually a directory that is inside of mastermind. So think about those little Russian stacking dolls. So we just go in one directory deeper. So we start at / and we go into our home directory. And so if we want to see how that is here, like we started our home directory and then you click in the desktop. So now you can see up here, it goes from home to desktop. And if we add, actually let's go into documents. We go into documents and then maybe we want to go into apps. So we click it, or deCoded, click on the deCoded. So I went from home to documents to deCoded. And that's kind of how this works. I'm in documents now. I could go into deCoded. And if I type in pwd, I'm now in here. So again, remember what's to the left is actually, whatever's on the right is actually inside of what's on the left. But it's the full path to get there. You start at /, you go to home, mastermind, documents, deCoded. That's how I get to the deCoded folder. That is how I get there. Yeah, that's how I get fully there. So on Windows, it will not start with a /. On Windows, it will start with, on Windows, it'll actually start with your drive letter. So this is the equivalent. On Windows, if you ever seen like the C drive or whatever drive that you're working with, it'll have the letter of the drive. That'll be the start. The letter of the drive with a / is how it will start. That is the absolute path will always include that. So this is an absolute path. So it's the entire path it takes to get from the root of the file system to whatever file or directory you're looking to get to. And that's pretty important. But if there is an absolute file path that has everything, that means there's probably something that does not have everything from the very beginning. And that, in fact, is, let me get this back up. And that is your relative file path. So the relative file path is the directions to that file or directory relative to the place that you are now. So it's like instead of getting the directions from your home to Target, maybe you went and stopped somewhere else. Maybe you stopped at the gym in between, and what you really want is you want to know how to get to Target from the gym now instead of your house. Even though your house is always the place you're usually starting from, this time you need to know how to get there from the gym. And that's kind of what this is. And so this will always start without a /, and this is true in Windows as well. It will start without a /, or it may start with a ./. We'll talk about that in a second. I think in Windows it might be different. It might start with a ./, but if you don't see a / on the front, that means it's a relative path. And so not only should you think it's a relative path, Linux sees that as a relative path. And we're about to see right now why that is important. So you see this example here. Over here, I had the full path to here. Here, I just say apps/file.txt. Now, because it's a relative path, this would mean that I would need to be in the abrooks directory for this path to work. Because again, it's relative to where I am. So I'm saying, hey, relative to where I am, go ahead and go to apps, and then file.txt should be there. But if I was currently at home, let's say if I was in the home directory and I gave it this path, it wouldn't know where to go because there's no apps directory in there. So let's see that real time really quick. This can be pretty complicated or pretty confusing to do. So let's say we want to get to, in this deCoded directory, let's make a file and let's call it again hello.txt. And here is our file we are testing with. Okay, we made a little file here. Ignore how I made the file, not important. Just know that there is a file called hello.txt that is in this deCoded directory. So let's take a look at what that looks like from the GUI. So again, I was in home, and inside of documents, inside of deCoded, I have a hello.txt file here, and I can open it up if I want, and I can see, I know you can't see it because of the theming on it, but there's a file here now. If I am, I'm gonna go, and I'm teaching you guys all the stuff early. Let's say I go back to the home directory, or where am I now? Right now I'm in home mastermind. So if I wanted to see, let's say I'm gonna teach you a command really quick. There's a command called cat. What cat does is it spits out the contents of a file right here into the terminal. You do not need to memorize cat right now. Not a big deal. Don't sweat it. But that's just what it does. Let's go back to where that file is. I'm gonna go back to where it is. I always forget where it is. Okay, so if I type in cat hello.txt, it'll print out what is in that file. So this is what we typed in, and it printed it out. Now, so I said cat hello.txt. This is a relative path. Hello.txt exists right here where I currently am. And so when I said cat and I gave the path to it, it printed it out. But if I did cat / hello.txt, it tells me no such file or directory. Why is it telling me no such file or directory? It's telling me that because when you do this /, that's an absolute path, and your computer is now looking for this file starting at /. So it says, okay, I'm gonna go back to the beginning and I'm gonna look at /, and then I'm looking for hello.txt, and that file does not exist in that location. So it will not, it's not there. And so you have to give the path. You have to either give an absolute path to the thing, or you have to give a relative path. So you can see here, if I do cat home, I'm gonna give it the absolute path. Mastermind documents deCoded hello.txt. So this is the entire absolute file path for the location of this text file. And if I hit enter here, it will work because I told it where it was. So it's just a way to it's like an address. It's just like an address to tell you to reference something on your computer. So if I go back a directory, and let me clear some of this stuff. Now, where am I? I'm in PWD. If I do PWD, I'm in documents, and we know that file is inside of the deCoded directory. So the relative path, what do you guys think the relative path is to be able to print out that? So if I want to reference that hello.txt file, and I know it's in the deCoded directory, how do you think we reference that? And I'll give you a second to throw out a few answers. We should have did a poll, but we'll do one in a little bit. I don't see any guesses. There we go. So the way we reference it is deCoded hello.txt, right? Because we're giving it the file path relative to our current location. So we're in documents, and inside of documents, before we do that, inside of documents, this deCoded folder is here. So to step in a deCoded folder, we can just do cat deCoded, and then that file is in there. So cat deCoded hello.txt, and this will work. Again, absolute path is the full file path from the root of the system. The root of the system always starts with / on Linux and Unix, and it always starts with the drive letter in Windows. So C, so that like C drive or D drive or whatever. So a relative path is the path to a file or directory relative to your current location on the computer. And once we learn the next command, maybe we'll be able to do some more examples that help you understand what that means. But again, it's a way for you to reference the location of a file or directory inside of Linux. So again, this is not, I promise you, this is not an easy concept. Like when you're first diving into this stuff, it like once you get it, you're gonna be like, okay, like I got that, but it's not a way that we normally think. And I remember this being a huge burdensome problem for me when I first started learning Linux. Like I think when someone told me about it, like when they first went over, I was like, okay, I think I got it. But when you're doing it in action, it doesn't always click. So it will. Take your time with it. It will click. All right, so we know how to, you see me do all this stuff already, but because we know about there are paths on the computer, we know that your location matters. Let's learn how to move around. So you see me do it already, but we want to move into new directories. We want to move into new places on the computer. On both Mac and Linux and on Windows, that command is, you type in CD, which is for change directory. And I know I told you it was current directory in Windows, which it is when it's alone, but it's change directory. And then you tell it the place that you want to go to. So let's take a look at that. You've seen me do it already. If I do ls here, I'm in my documents. If I want to change directory into deCoded, I can simply, CD and type in the name of the thing that I want to go to, that I want to change into. And now if I do a pwd, you can see here, I am now in deCoded. And inside of deCoded, there aren't any other, there's nothing else here. There's no other, okay, so there is something here. So take a look, that is a file, a text file. What happens if I try to change into a text file? It says it's not a directory. So you can only use the CD command. It's a change directory command. You can only use it when you want to move into a new directory. Very, very important. It will not let you do it with anything else, obviously, because it's not a directory. But okay, I'm in deCoded, but like there's nothing here. So like, what do? How do I reset? Let's say I wanted to go back to documents. Maybe you would try CD documents. Nope, no such file or directory. Why is there no such file or directory? Remember, there's a hierarchy here. This is a directory structure. This is a tree. It's looking inside of my current location. It's looking for a folder because I gave it a relative path of documents. It's looking for a documents folder. The documents folder does not exist where I currently am. It's behind me. So how do I move back? How do I go from where I am now? How do I go back? And the way that you do that is CD dot, and that will take you backwards. And I do have that in slides here. Go back, CD dot. That is how you go back a directory. That'll take you back a single directory. This works both in Linux and Windows and on Mac as well. So that's how you go backwards one. And you can do it as many times as you want. You can, well, not as well, you can. So I can go CD dot, and let's take a look. PWD. So look at this. So if I do CD dot again, it says I'm in /home/mastermind. If I do CD dot again, where do you think it's going to take me? It's going to take me back. It's going to take me to home. So if I go CD dot, check that out. Now I'm in, and I run a PWD again, I'm in home. What do you think it's going to do if I run another CD dot? It's going to take me to /. Remember I said / is where everything starts. Type in PWD, I'm at /. What happens if I do another CD dot? It doesn't take me anywhere. Why doesn't it take me anywhere? Because the computer starts at /. Everything starts at /. You can't go back anymore. That is the very beginning. That is where everything starts. So I could do an ls, and I can see there's stuff here. And so the reason I can go to home is because home is right here. And so let's get back to where we were. Let's CD forward into home. But you don't need to just go one at a time. You can go multiple directories at a time. So if I know there are other things inside of home, you can say CD home. If you're not sure what directories are inside of home, you can hit tab twice. I'm pretty sure it works on most computers. You can hit tab twice and it'll show you the directories that you have available to you to go into. So I could say documents /home. Oh, actually /home mastermind. See, this is why I don't, okay. I'm gonna take a quick side note to say something to you all really quick. I started using ZSH. I'm an old school Linux guy. I'm a bash lover. There were a number of reasons why I dislike this shell ZSH. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, ignore it for now. Completely ignore it. This is for the people who know. The people who know. I dislike ZSH because of the nannies that it gives you. And it just showed us one of the nannies that probably just made a concept that I was trying to give to you a little bit confusing. When I hit tab twice, what ZSH did was actually, is there anything at home? Maybe not. Maybe I may be ranting too early, but it still stands. Hold on. I'll tell you if I'm ranting too early. All right, I'm not ranting too early. I mean, I am ranting too early. Ignore that for now. We'll have this conversation later because I already know of situations in which this will happen in. But I'm not a big fan of ZSH, but I like it because it looks pretty, or because you can make it look pretty. But I can give it the whole path. So I can go documents, mastermind, documents, decoded. And if I do that, I've now traveled all the way from the home directory. So from all the way back here, for the PWD, I've now traveled all the way up to here with one command. So, you know, you can type a CD and you give it the directions to get to the place that you want to get to. I want to, the devo, I want to give you, I want to like thumbs up and thumbs down that comment because it's funny to me, but it's not, it's a lie. I don't really like it. But you can see here also, what kind of path is this? What kind of path did I just give it? I gave it a relative path. Why? It does not have a slash in the front. It doesn't have a slash in the front. And again, it wouldn't work because mastermind doesn't exist at slash, but it doesn't matter. I did CD. I gave it a path relative to where I was to get to where I want it to go. But yeah, so that'll do that. And now let me show you why CD by itself on Mac and Windows, on Windows and Mac and Linux is different. So where am I now? If you press CD on Windows, it'll show you the current directory. But on a lot of people who use Linux a lot don't know this, but if I type in CD on Linux and I hit enter, it takes me to my home directory. So now where am I? It's a shortcut. It's a shortcut to take you to your user's home directory. So now it moved me. So it does not do the same thing at all. So be a little cognizant of that if you're trying to learn both at once, that they do two different things. Yeah, they do two different things. So what time is it? 8:02. Oh, we are making phenomenal time. Okay, let's take a little break there. Any questions about what we just learned? So quick recap of those things real quick. Let's clear this out real quick. Also, yes, the other day, RWX Rob, he's a streamer here on Twitch, and he was doing a Linux introduction to Linux thing. He's way better at Linux than me. He's like super Wiseman. It was pretty dope. But I've told people this before. I've tried to not argue with people about this before, but people will see me type in the clear command. I typed in clear, and what clear did is it removed all the crap from the screen. It didn't really do, and all the stuff is still up top for most terminals, but it cleared the stuff off the screen. There's a shortcut to do that, which is Control L. It is not this. It's not the same thing. And it's actually on some Linux distributions and Unix distributions, it'll do something completely different, or it won't be found. So while you're learning Linux, I highly recommend that you learn a lot of the commands, that you memorize a lot of the commands rather than the shortcuts, because those shortcuts won't be available everywhere. So just, a little tidbit of information. Pros and cons of ZSH. Here's my gripes with ZSH. ZSH is a great tool for people who already understand Linux pretty well, have a good handle on the command line pretty well. It has a lot of nannies. So ZSH is cool because it has a lot of creature comforts. It has a lot of comforting things, features about it that make things nice. One of those things is this. Let's say I'm here in documents, and let's say I want to do CD, and I want to go to documents. Actually, no, there's another thing. Here's what I'll show you better. Linux itself is it is case sensitive. Case in Linux matters. But let's say I have a new directory and I'm teaching you guys some stuff that we're about to learn a little bit. Let's say I made a lowercase downloads. There's already a folder here called downloads. I can make another folder called downloads with a lowercase d because they're different. They're actually two different things in Linux. These are not downloads lowercase d and downloads uppercase d are two completely different things. But if in ZSH I did cd capital D lowercase o and I hit tab to see what was available to me. Look at this. It matches on lowercase downloads. That doesn't make any sense on a case sensitive operating system to me. Like that's one of the big, that's a huge problem to me. And so it makes tab completion weird if you're used to normal Linux tab completion. But I think that's dangerous, to be honest, because people use, there are cases, no pun intended, to use different cases of the same thing to manage things. That's my first biggest gripe. There are a few other ones. When we get into, we'll probably see one tonight when we get into Golang. It does some weird stuff with when sometimes it'll decide to enter in new line characters because in a majority of situations it will make sense, but there are a lot of situations where it doesn't. But again, there's a lot of, when you try to make things comfortable for everyone, you make some things that are important, you mask a lot of things that are pretty important, and that's the reason why those are the cons of ZSH. But it's beautiful, and it has a lot of cool things to possibly make you work faster. But I still find them to be problematic. This is the biggest to me. I don't know if I'll ever get over this. This is super problematic for me. If I want a tab complete, it should not include the lowercase one. It'll try to figure stuff out for you, which I find problematic. But again, a lot of people like that, so I'm gonna get rid of that directory because I don't see. If I want to this, there's only one thing this matches. There's only one thing this matches. But all right, it doesn't matter. That's my rant for the day. Hard Linux admin jobs pay well and are in demand. Yeah, I mean, I would say the Linux, specifically Linux admin jobs, are declining, but not because those skills are outdated or not required, but because people are kind of tacking that onto cloud. So now people are when they say they want a Linux admin, they'll say they want a cloud systems administrator because you're going to be doing your Linux administration in the cloud. So it gets a little weird, but absolutely, like I said, Linux runs the world. It is 1000% a skill I think everyone should pick up in the tech industry, to have at least a light understanding of Linux, and it does pay well. I did Linux administration purely for the beginning of my career, and I could have taken it farther, but Linux administration took me to six figures. I got six figures doing purely Linux administration. So just as honest as possible. Absolutely, there are 100% jobs out there for it. And like I said, it won't always say Linux admin. Take a look at cloud systems administrators. I would include Linux admin in my search. I would include systems administrator, cloud systems administrator, systems administrator. I would include systems engineer in your search as well. But yeah, all those things. The most popular tech stream. Oh, am I really? Oh, that chick. But see, I like both the Earthquakes one and the live stream of chickens. I often go over to the chicken stream and feed them. You can feed them with some bits, 50 bits. We'll get them a snack, and it's pretty exciting. So I tried to hate on that stream for a little while, and I couldn't hate on it. TD Tab tries to complete. Oh yes, man. See, thanks for shouting that out. When there is something in Linux called tab completion. So sometimes it might look like I'm typing extra fast. I am not typing extra fast. I'm a slow typist. But in Linux, again, remember I said that case matters. Where am I right now? If I try to do, if I type in a capital D and I hit tab, Linux will do its best to match what you're trying to type. And so what it'll say is, okay, you have a D in here. I'm gonna look for all the things in the directory that start with capital D, and I'll try to determine from there. And so what it does is if I hit tab twice, it gives me all this information about all the things I could be matching for. And so it can't find a match. It doesn't complete anything because there's no singular thing that I could be referring to. But so if I type in O, there's still no longer a singular thing. So if I hit O, it'll show me 2 more. But if I go back and I type in DE and hit tab, it completes the word because there's only one thing I could be referring to. This is available to you. Linux can do this because case is a thing. Like, that's why tab completion works, because it's case sensitive. But so, like, it makes it faster. So you'll see a lot of people, like, my pinky is just on tab and I'll say desktop and I'll type in the deCoded. Oh, interesting. Oh no, it's not in desktop. It's in documents and deCoded. And like, I just hit tab, and as long as there's one match for what you're typing, it will complete that thing for you. So you need to type just enough so that the thing that you're referring to is unique, and then hit tab, and it will go ahead and it will fill out the rest for you. So a lot of times you'll see me typing stuff and you'll be like, dude, he's typing fast. I'm not typing fast. I'm typing 3 characters and hitting tab. So cool. Yeah, Linux admins definitely need to know and do more now, though. I do agree with that. Why teach ZSH versus Bash? I mean, Bash is default. Yeah, so no, I agree. Most people are using, so the shell doesn't really matter for these basic Linux things. It doesn't really matter at all. Also for Macs, if you're on a Mac, if you're on a newer Mac, Bash is not the default. You say the Bash is default. Bash is the default on most machines, on most servers, but it is not the default always. Mac has changed the default shell inside of your terminal for newer computers to ZSH, and that is what it will be going forward. I mean, like I said, I don't love ZSH, but for the stuff that we're doing now, the differences in shells don't matter. That's why I'm not, like, I didn't even want to bring up shells because like the differences between them, because they don't really matter for this stuff. But no, 100%, yeah. The many times you were less than thrilled with the ZSH, yeah. ZSH is just a shell. So, oh, this is actually really great. This is actually really in line with the stuff that we're learning. Last time we learned about interpreters. We learned about compilers versus interpreters. A shell is a piece of software that interprets what you're typing in. It's interpreting these commands real time, and it is translating them to speak to the computer. So there's a bunch of different types of shells you can use that give you different tools and features. The main one that people use is called Bash, or that comes installed by default. It's actually called the Born Again shell, and it's just an interpreter. It's an interpreter for you to use, and it understands certain things, and it does certain things for you. ZSH is just kind of a new one. Z shell, I think it's a new one, newer one that gives you some cool tools and things. So it's just a different way for you to interact with your computer. Not important right now at all. Not important. Can you control your GUI from the CLI? Yeah, yes, absolutely. Yes, you can. So I can do things like open up my text editor from here. So I typed in code and hit dot, and look at that. It gave me my stuff opened up. So yes, you can use these interchangeably. I use both constantly. And you can control aspects of your GUI using the shell. I could change my resolution. I could do, yes, because everything you can do from the GUI, you can do from the shell. It may be harder, or vice versa. There are things that are way easier in the shell than there are from the GUI, but there are things that you just can't do from the GUI. So it's good to know how to do stuff there. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't know that about the licensing. That's good to know. Okay, so let's keep moving. So we learned how to go back. Now, let's learn about file and directory management. So a few more commands here, and let's take a step back. And what commands have we already learned? Because, you know, we're going to learn about, not quite, but about 10 commands today, maybe a little bit less. We've learned how to see where we currently are. We learned how to orient ourselves, learn how to see our location, which with the pwd command, present working directory, or if you are on Windows with the cd command, which is the current directory, that'll show you where you are. And it'll always show you where you are using the absolute path. So starting from the root of the system on Linux is / the root of the system on Windows is the directory letter, so C or D or whatever it is. We learned how to see what the things that are in the directory that we currently are in. which is the ls command on Linux, or on PowerShell. So that was good to learn today. Or the dir command in Windows, dir in Windows. We learned how to move forward. We learned how to navigate the directory tree. So we learned how to move forward and backwards through the directory tree with the cd command, the change directory command. So you type in cd and the path to the place you want to go, and it'll take you there. And if you want to go backwards, you can do cd dot dot, and that will take you back one directory. Interestingly enough, I didn't show it to you, but I'll show you later. If you want to go back more than one directory, you can do cd dot dot slash dot dot, and however many times you want to go back, you just add another slash and put another dot dot, and it'll take you back another directory. I don't love doing that, but you can do that. There are other ways to move to where you want to go. And then yeah, I think that's all we learned so far. So we learned a couple commands, but now we're going to learn how to manage our files and directories. So this is probably most applicable to the things that you're going to be doing: cd, and then these things, like making files, deleting files, making directories and deleting directories are probably the main things that you're going to need to know if you care about software. If software is the thing that you're trying to do, this is probably what you care about. So how do we do these things? So to create an empty file in Linux, you can just do this touch command. Windows is a little bit different. I'll explain this a little bit. I'll explain this a little bit here. This is something that, like, it's commonly practiced, but there are other ways to easily create a file. You can create a file right from Visual Studio Code or something, but it's something that's good to know. Let's go back into the directory that we've been working out of deCoded. And sometimes you maybe want to just make a file really quick to start working on it. Maybe let's say we're gonna work on a Python application, and I can say, all right, let's go ahead and make a hello world Python application, and I want to make a little placeholder for it. The touch command will allow that. I type in touch, and then the name of the file that I want to make. So if I want to make a hello world .py, and now nothing, from the command line, whenever you get no output and it just drops you back to the prompt, that's generally a good thing. It generally means that command ran successfully. And what you can do is I can do an ls to see what's in here, and look, now I have another file called hello world.py. But it makes an empty file, so it's actually 0 bytes. It has 0 data in it. It's just an empty file, but that's how you go ahead and make an empty file. On Windows, you have to do, it's a little more complicated. You have to do something called an output redirect. You're redirecting the output of a command into a file. So this is something that you can do in Linux. And so you'll type in type null, type nul, and you'll do a greater than sign, and then you'll give the file name. So, and that will create an empty file. Again, simple thing. There are other ways to open up a file, but it's just a quick way from the command line if you want to create a file so that you can start editing it here. What's up, C. Williams? How you doing? I'm assuming that's you, Cam, because I'm pretty sure that's your birthday. But what's up, man? So if you create a file, you probably want to remove a file. So to remove a file in Linux, it's RM, so remove for remove, and the file name for Windows is delete. I actually like del better, to be honest. Like, it makes more sense to me. But del and the file name. So pretty simple. That file that we just created, we can remove it by doing an rm hello world.py. And now if I do an ls, that file is now deleted. So that is just like creating a new empty file, or in right clicking it and clicking delete. All good. Pretty simple. Like I said, it takes some comfort to be able to use it properly. But that is how you do it. You make an empty file with touch, and you remove any file with rm. So I can also remove, this hello.txt thing here. You can also use these commands take wildcards. So let's say let's touch one. Can you make two at the same time? Let's see. I don't know. Oh, that's nice. Okay, so I have 3 files here. I just made 3 files called 1, 2, and 3. I can actually remove them all by doing rm star. Now be careful with this. I shouldn't even tell you this because it's a little bit dangerous. I'm not going to add in the modifier to make you actually do stuff. You should be careful with this. This command, like especially like know where you are when you're doing this. I actually highly advise you don't do this. But sometimes it's necessary, sometimes it's important, sometimes you need to batch delete things. So actually let's do something like this. Let's move 1 to 1.txt. I could do this faster if I wanted to. I can write a little thing, and let's move 3 to 3.txt. So let's do this a little bit better, because inevitably somebody's going to destroy their computer and it's going to be my fault. But you can delete multiple things. I can say rm star.txt. So all the files in here are .txt files, and this star right here, this little asterisk, it will match everything. It'll say, all right, I'm gonna grab everything that matches this, and if I do that, it deleted all the files. If I take a look at what's there, it deleted all the files. That's not important for you to write down right now. Just I want to start kind of probing you with the things that you can do in Linux, and you might start to think about like, oh, that's cool, like I can use that to do this, or I can use that to do that, because Linux is, there's a lot of things you can do here, so we're just taking our time with it. Okay, we learned how to create a file with touch, we learned how to delete a file with rm. So let's create a directory. To create a directory, it is mkdir, make directory. Mkdir is on both Linux and in Windows. It is mkdir to create an empty directory, and rmdir to remove that directory. We'll talk about this remove directory in a second, because there are some caveats to that. So let's make one. Let's call it testdir. I also want to show you something. Touch hello.txt. So on my computer, yours may not show it like this, but on most computers, by default, on most shells, it will show you a visual difference between a file and a directory. Usually directories will be bold. So mine is also blue to help you easily identify those things. But usually one will be bold, like files will all be not bold, it'll be normal, and directories will be bold so that you can easily see them. There are also ways to do things. How do I do I pinned the, one second. There's a modifier also to like have it show slashes on the end so that you can see that it is a directory. That's not important right now. Not important. But yeah, in here, if I do an ls, the file is not bold and the directory is bold. Now I want to, so now that I've created that directory, I can go into that directory if I want. Nothing's in here because we created an empty directory. Then go back, and if I want to remove it really quick, I'll do an rmdir testdir. So you do rmdir, mkdir is how you make it. So make directory, rmdir, remove directory is how you remove it, and it removes it. I do ls, there's nothing here. Let's go ahead and make that again. All right, so I ran this make directory command again, and now this directory is back. It's here again. Let's make a file. We're gonna create an empty file inside of that directory, but we're gonna do it from where we are now. So we're not gonna go into that directory. We're gonna make an empty file in that directory. How do you create an empty file? The touch command. But you might say, how do you now put it in that directory? The way that you put it in this directory is, again, you give it the path. You give it a relative path or absolute path to where you want it to be. So we'll just say testdir, and we'll call it test.txt. All right. And so if I look in testdir, now I have a test.txt file in here. So we were able to create a file in there. But if we go back, let's say we try to remove this directory now. How do we remove directories? rmdir, testdir. we get a failure. Look at that. That looks scary. Failed to remove tester. Directory is not empty. So rmdir only works if the directory is empty. I think you can pass a -f to it if you want, but nope, I don't even want to give you that. I just want you to know that if you want to delete a directory from the command line and it's not empty, you got to clean it out first. There are other ways to do it. Right now, that's all I want you to know. I don't have those same files on my Mac. What can I use to practice on my Mac terminal? So these files that we're working with, I'm making them. So you can use like when you open up your terminal in Mac, you will be in your home directory. When you type in pwd on your Mac, it will say /users/ your name. Most likely it'll either say /users/ your name or /users/ home/ your name. Open up a terminal, a brand new terminal. If you're on a Mac, I want you to cd into documents. So I want you to, as soon as you open it up, I want you to cd and type in D documents. I want CD into documents. So it didn't work here, but it will work on your Mac. When you type that in, it's gonna put you into your documents directory. Here, so if you know how to get to your documents from your Finder on your Mac, that you're in the same location. You can do all the stuff that we just did from there. So if you want to make a file, type in touch and give it the file name. If you want to make a directory, go ahead and make it there. I think documents is a pretty safe place to do that. So yeah, so don't worry about the files that we have here. We're just making on the fly on your computer, on your Mac. You can do the same exact thing. What's the equivalence of a directory? It's a folder. Yeah, yep, a directory is just a folder. Yep, it's username documents. Yep, so make sure you're in there. Perfect. That means if you just sent me that, Sarah Fizzle, if you sent me that after doing a pwd, then you're in the right place. Go ahead and try to make some files with the touch command. And again, if you make them there, if you go into your Finder on your Mac, like if you click on the little face thing and actually look in documents, you'll be able to see those files that you create from the command line. You'll be able to see them there. Yeah, you'll be able to see them there, and you can remove them, and you can try to make a couple directories and remove a couple directories. And yeah, I really do say play around with it. It's not too, you're not gonna mess up anything as long as you're in like your documents or something. You're not gonna mess anything up. Just watch what you're typing in to make sure you don't delete anything you need if you're trying to run the rm or rmdir. But again, rmdir is really nice because it won't delete. It won't delete if you have something in there. So it's a little bit safe. And again, most of that is the same with Windows, minus the creating an empty file thing. This paradigm also exists inside of Linux. This is how I generally do it. Well, I usually put something in there, but yeah. We're not gonna talk about recursive mode. I don't want people to mess up yet. The dot command. Dot command is to go backwards. So if you want to move backwards or up the directory tree. So right now we are in deCoded. We're in this folder, this directory. If I want to move back to documents, the dot allows me to do that. So cd dot, and now I am now in documents instead of deCoded. So yes, it moves to the parent directory. Up one. All right. What else? There are a few. There are. What do we have left? Cool. Perfect. Right on time. Before we get to there, there's a few other commands I want to. There's like 2 other commands I want to give to you really quick that aren't here. Maybe we'll add them really quick. Let's add them really quick. I do want you to also know how to both copy a file somewhere, and I want you to know how to rename it. Copy file to new location, and move or rename file. So we'll do this in Linux, and then I'll try to do it in Windows. I don't know how to do these in Windows. I don't know if they're the same, but maybe they are. So let's do these real quick. So let's say right now I have this Aaron.txt file exists. Where does it exist? I'm in my documents folder. So in my documents, I have an Aaron.txt file that's sitting there. We didn't create that. It's just already there. Let's put something in it. I'm gonna edit it real quick. Don't worry about editing it. I'm gonna edit it real quick. My name is Aaron and I cannot type. That's what I should have typed. So now, just a little throwback. Remember, we learned about the cat command, not important that you know it, but it's gonna spit out the contents of this file here. So we have this file, this aaron.txt file that exists within my documents folder. What if I wanted to move that into the deCoded folder? What if I wanted to copy it there? So let's try that first. Let's do the copy command. The copy command, you type in CP for copy. Then you tell it the thing that you want to copy. So I want to copy aaron.txt. So you say copy, you give it the thing that you want to copy, and then you give it where you want it to copy to. So I want to copy aaron.txt and I want to copy it into the deCoded directory. And I hit enter, and copy should make a copy. So that means aaron.txt should still be here, which it is. But if we look inside of deCoded, aaron.txt is there as well. So if we cd into deCoded, do an ls, aaron.txt is now here. And again, we can check that it's the same aaron.txt by doing a cat, and the stuff that we typed in before is here. So you can copy files into other directories, I don't, you can also use copy to copy directories. You got to give it another flag. You can't just run the copy command. You have to actually give it a recursive flag. But yeah, copy is copy in Windows and move is move, both. Dope, that's perfect. When using mkdir to create directories, can you also escape the space if you have one in the name? Yes, that is oh man, that's a great question. Oh, we're in level like 2 Linux territory with that question. That's a great question from Sean Frollo. Yeah, let's go back a little bit. So copy, hopefully you got copy there. Pretty simple. Sometimes it takes some time to figure out what goes first, what goes second. But again, copy, and you can Google this, when you're ready to do it. But just know that you are able to copy files and folder, well, files for now. You run CP for copy, the thing that you want to copy, and then the place that you want to copy it to. And that's how you do it. But that is a really good question. So because you're doing everything from the command line, Sean from asked if there's a slash. Oh, Sean from LA. I don't know. That makes way more sense. I said it right yesterday, the day before, but not today. If you have, let's say you have a directory with a slash in it. This is a very interesting paradigm. So let's say I tried to make a directory that was like test one, and then it was like test one / Arder. I don't know why this would be the name, but let's say the directory name, you want to have a slash in it. It won't work. It won't work in here. It won't work because it's going to see that slash as a new path. It's going to see it like that slash is important in Linux, and it's going to see that as like trying to make test. It's going to look for a test1 directory and an Arder directory. So it's trying to create two directories. So it won't work like this. Sean from LA asked about escaping. So in Linux, you can escape special characters. What that means is you can tell Linux to ignore special characters. This is not level 1 Linux stuff. I don't think it's level 1 Linux stuff. I think this is, this is a bonus right now, but I think it's something interesting. And I think it's something that you will come across from just messing around. So if you were just messing around and you try to make something with a slash in it, you might get confused. But the way that you do that you escape is with a backslash. I think it might be / I never remember. And if I do that, it's gonna do it's not gonna work. But what if I do yeah, it's not gonna work. So you can't do it that way, or at least I don't know how to do it that way. Maybe you might be able to put it in quotes, but I would just highly recommend that you don't have a slash in the name. And yeah, I guess Linux won't even do it. And that was the reason I said that was so interesting, is because I had no idea what it would do, because I've never even thought about having to do that. So Windows might work differently. I think Windows might allow you to include slashes in the name, but yeah. You can escape other special characters though. You can have spaces and stuff. Like if I wanted to have a space in it, like I could either do this and that would create the directory, or I could do something, or I could do this. Test2, like if I try to do something called test2 space rdir, what it's going to do is it's going to make two different directories. It sees that as two different things, so it made rdir and it made test2. But if I wanted to actually make it with the space, I could escape that space, I think, and now it made it like said, hey, I know there's a space here. I'm gonna like not interpret this as a space. I'm gonna escape it, and I'm gonna interpret it as such. And so it does in fact make it. So now we got all these stupid directories, but they're here. So I think that was a good question to kind of dive in a little bit more. Okay, I was able to create a directory on Mac using test/directory. It also worked using quotation marks. Interesting. So I see that you have a space in between test/ and directory. Did it make two different directories? Did it make a test/ and so you can do it with a slash at the end. That's completely fine. I'm pretty sure. You should be able to just, okay, there, Aaron, with a slash at the end. That's just well, I can't do that because that's the wrong slash. But yeah, can you explain parameters? Yeah, I can. So everything that we're doing here from the command line is interesting. We're giving the computer a command, and that command does a number of things, but we're giving the computer more than, like, we're giving it more than one piece of information at once. So like when you type in cd alone, that's a command, and that will execute some underlying things with inside of Linux. When we type in cd, it's actually just a little application that runs, and it runs a bunch of other things behind the scenes. When you give it a place to cd into, so let's say I wanted to cd into downloads, this right here is a parameter or an argument. It's called a parameter or an argument. It is a positional modifier to the command. So its position matters. It had, so like, so we do cd downloads, and it takes that in. So basically, that parameter downloads actually gets passed in to the cd command. We are gonna be doing this ourselves. We're gonna be working with parameters and arguments as we're coding. But it's basically going to pass to take. So when we did that copy command, each of those things, or even with mkdir, but let's see, rcp, these are two arguments. So we gave it the copy command, and it takes in two arguments or two parameters. And the two parameters are the file that we want to copy and the location. How would you know what to, like, there are a number of ways to know how to like what parameters you need to pass in. Not important right now, but it allows you to do that. But also when you see me type in something like ls, but you see me type in ls-l, this -l is a parameter or a flag or an argument. People call them flags a lot. And it changes, again, it modifies what this command does. It takes it in, and this command actually references this and says, all right, I see that you gave me a parameter or an argument. If I know what to do with it, I'm gonna go ahead and do something with it. But if not, it'll either break or it will ignore it. Either one of those things can happen. So that's fair. I get it. You should be a little bit lost at this point. I would fully expect that you're a little bit lost at this point. What I want you to do now, though, that you're lost, is I want you to focus purely first on the things the navigation is what I want you to focus on. Being able to understand where you're at and move back and forth, be able to cd into a new directory, so change into new directories, and to move back forwards and backwards, even if it's one directory at a time. Move forwards and backwards. And I want you to spend time, watch some videos, read some articles, see if you can understand relative versus absolute file pathing. And then the rest of the stuff is really extra. Like, that's really the main meat and potatoes of today. The stuff that we've done after that is just extra Linux things that take some time to to own and to grow. So we're just doing a few things to make sure we understand, to try to understand how we can, you know, do a little more from the command line. So we learn how to make directories and remove directories, and now when we talk about parameters, is just an extension of the things that we're doing. So just to show you this mkdir command, to make a directory, let's go to documents really quick. To make a let's go to deCoded. Let's say I wanted to make a directory, multiple directories. So we saw that I could pass in, like, let's say directory 1, directory, let's call it 1. mkdir 1 will make me a directory called 1. The reason these are different colors on my computer, I made them different colors, so they're not gonna be different colors on yours, but it's done to highlight that this is the command that you're giving, and then everything you're giving after that is parameters, and parameters modify or instruct the command that you're giving how to do something. So mkdir by itself won't do anything. It says missing operand. It's missing a parameter. It has no idea what to do. Like, by itself is just a command, but unless I give it a parameter to do something with, which is like the word 1, this is a parameter, and now it knows what to do, and it goes ahead and it makes me a directory called 1. But also I think what the question was for things like this. Let's say I wanted a directory 1, and inside of 1 I wanted 2, and inside of 2 I wanted 3. This directory doesn't exist, so it would have trouble making this. So like, if I don't have a P here and I try to say make this directory, that won't work. It won't work because again, this directory doesn't exist. No such file directory. It's because 2 doesn't exist. But a parameter, all these commands take in some type of modifier that can change what they do. The -p, this will not fail now. And what it did is, inside of 1, it created 2, and it created 3. So not important that you know that it did that, but it's important to know that I gave it an argument. I gave it a modifier basically, and that told it to do something new. What this one in particular does is it makes all parent directories if they don't exist. So if I give it a file path and I give it the -p, it'll make all parent directories. I'm gonna show you, like, everything I'm showing you right now should confuse you. It will make more sense as we touch more and more things. But see this -p here, it stands for --parents, and it says make parent directories as needed. And so that's the parameter that I think the question was asked about. These are things that change the way a command works. So I think that's what was being asked. And again, we went pretty deep there, and the only reason we went pretty deep is because we have time. And again, I want you to be comfortable being uncomfortable. So for some people, some people on here know some of the basic Linux commands, and this part now is valuable for them. But if you're completely fresh, the part of learning how to navigate is probably a little more beneficial for you, and this probably makes you pretty uncomfortable. But I'm telling you, it's okay. It's completely okay. One day we'll be coding stuff, and you'll be like coding stuff, and you'll be like, all right, and then we'll do something in the terminal, and you'll be like, oh, that makes sense now. I understand why we did that. So don't sweat it. Okay. So now all we're gonna do, does P have to come before name argument? Yes, it does. Yes, pretty sure it does. Let me see. Let's say if I add 4, there are some things that it doesn't. For most normal Linux commands, it does. That's a good question. No, it does not. The argument doesn't have to come. That's very interesting. Usually these flags and parameters are positional. I think the ones with the dashes may not be. But yeah, so it looks like it doesn't. But again, like I said, play around, see what happens when you mess around with it. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we did the copy command. We can do the move command. Move is just like copy. So move, if I wanted to move Aaron.txt into the one directory, I would do this. And copy gives you 2 copies of it, so it leaves it in the current location and it puts it in another copy in a new location. Move does the same thing, but it moves it, so it removes it from the old location and puts it in a new location. So if I move Aaron to 1 and I see what's in here, Aaron, I moved the directory Aaron, so Aaron, the directory Aaron is gone, and now it is in the one directory. It's completely gone from here, so I moved it instead of copied it. Yeah, so I moved it instead of copied it. And then you can also use move to rename files. I know that can be confusing, but you are moving it from one location to another. And so you can move it by doing, if I wanted to rename Aaron.txt to mastermind.txt, this is how I would do it. So move it from this location to this location, basically. So if I do move Aaron.txt to mastermind.txt, and I look again, there's no more Aaron.txt, there's just a mastermind.txt, and it has the same stuff that was in Aaron before. So just a little bit extra there. Definitely just a little extra there. Yeah, yes, I know I set myself up a little bit on that one, not mentioning the help command, but it's all good. Linux is easier than you think. I know it's confusing right now, because it's like you've learned your whole life to deal with a computer in a way other than the way we're learning how to deal with it now. I promise you, a little bit of practice, just mess with it a little bit, you'll start to find out that it's better for most things. Like I do a lot of the management of my computer via the command line just because it's a little bit faster. Like it's, for a lot of things, it's faster. You can do things programmatically, so once you kind of get comfortable doing this, you can set up a lot of automation on your computer super easily. We'll be learning a lot of that stuff. Anyone say one more time how to go install Linux on Mac or Windows? Good question. If you're on Mac, I don't necessarily think you need to install Linux, but if you do want to, you can use either I would recommend VirtualBox. You can also do it via Boot Camp, but that's kind of tough sometimes. But VirtualBox for either Mac or Windows, you download VirtualBox. I have you know what? I'm gonna give it to you right now. I'm gonna give it to you right now. I have a video on YouTube that will tell you how to do it. DevOps Bootcamp. Which one is it? It's this one. Introduction to, here we go. Paste this in here. This will teach you how to install VirtualBox, and it'll teach you how to install Linux inside of VirtualBox. So you can take a look at that if you want to get that in there. But yeah, if you're in Mac, like, there's no reason. Okay, now with the time we have left, what we're gonna do really quick is we are gonna hopefully, maybe you have a text editor installed already. If not, we can go ahead and download one. But we're just gonna get some of the things that we need installed. All the things that we need installed. Like I said, we're gonna download. We're gonna try to download Go. We're trying to download Python, which you probably already have. We're gonna try to download Node, so we can do some JavaScript stuff. And we'll leave Rust off for now. We'll do just those 3. And then we'll install the appropriate plugins for VS Code. So if you're not using VS Code, this may not be super beneficial for you, but I think that most people are going to be using VS Code, especially because that's what I recommended. But I'll just help you get the it has some extensions installed. We'll just get familiar with VS Code. Like let's look over it, get some familiarity with it, kind of understand what it looks like. Is there really a VS Codium just like Chromium? I don't know if I believe you. Let's see. Okay, there we go. Open source binaries of VS Code. There we go. Can you that's cool. I am a fan of open source software, so I could do that. I probably should switch to that, but no big deal. Node, Python, and Go. We're gonna be installing Go, Golang. To find it, you probably have to type in Golang if you want to search for it, but the language is called Go. Again, PyCharm is fine, but PyCharm is not going to give you a lot of the things that we need when we're dealing with other languages. We're going to be working with more than just Python. And I promise you, it might be confusing at first, but dealing with multiple languages at once is actually going to help. It's going to help. Why Go? Go, we're using Go because one, wanted to deal with both. I think it's important that we deal with one dynamically typed interpreted language, at least one of those, and at least one statically typed compiled language. Go is from everything from all the things that I've touched and seen, Go is the easiest to it's the easiest and most fun to write of the static languages. Yes, it's the easiest and most fun to write, and it's probably the most it's the most modern. I think it's a good modern language to learn, as opposed to, like, we could do Java, but even the installation of Java on your computer is rough. Also, the Go has the Go Playground, which is the main reason, actually, one of the main reasons why we're using it as well, because statically typed compiled languages can be they can be a bit of a hassle to get installed. You can use the Go Playground if you need to use the Go Playground, which is just a little website. So yeah, that's the reason we're doing Go. Open source software for a project and add new features the original software doesn't have. How do we properly credit the original developer, but also distinguish our code from the original code? That is a great question. So open source software generally comes with a type of license, and it'll be available to you in GitHub. There's a few different ones. There's an MIT license. There's a bunch of different licenses, and most of those licenses discuss how to credit credit the original developer. A lot of times you don't need to, surprisingly, but yes, the license will tell you what you need to do to properly credit the people from the original code. That's a really good question. As far as ownership of the features code that's not part of the open source, I don't know who owns it. I don't know who I guess technically you own it, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know how ownership of open source software goes. Again, I think it partly depends on what license you choose. There are a number of different licensing options, and I can find a video for it. There's some videos explaining it, but I don't really be caring about the license, to be honest. It's not that serious to me, but I do think it is important, though. It's important. Yeah. So we'll get to the Git section and forking it. Yes, there's still some licensing requirements for it, though. Oh yeah, TLDR, yeah, legal. Yes, I think that's the website someone sent me to that has a lot of that stuff on it. That's good. Perfect. Okay. So if you didn't get VS Code installed, if you don't have a text editor, any text editor will do, really. Any text editor will do. I recommend that if you aren't comfortable installing, if you aren't comfortable, if you're new to this stuff, if you're uncomfortable installing plugins and things, I recommend using VS Code just because it's very easy, and that's what we'll be showing examples in. But if you're comfortable with your text editor, use your text editor 100%. The text editor does not matter. Just want to get people who are unfamiliar with the text editor familiar with it and get the stuff that we need installed. So first, Visual Studio Code. I'll share the link again. I shared it last time, but it's code.visualstudio.com. It's available on every platform: Linux, Mac, and PC and Windows. So we just need one editor. Correct. You just need one editor to deal with all of them. These modern text editors will edit any of these languages. But I'll grab it. It's a really nice application. Once you get it, you should just be able to, open it like any other application. Yes, you can brew install it, I believe, but I don't know what let's see, brew install VS Code. Maybe not. I guess you can use Cask to install it. So brew Cask install VS Code. If you have Cask installed, I'll send this, but you can also just download it. Oh, there we go. You guys got it. You got it there. You already shared it. But yes, like I said, VS Code's really nice. Sublime Text is really nice. But once you get installed, you can open it like any other application. Again, don't be afraid of it. It's normal. What's brew install means? Great question. We didn't talk about package managers. We might have should have talked about package managers tonight, especially because we're about to install some stuff. But each of our operating systems, pretty much all of them, yes, you can get it from Chocolatey. You know, it's kind of tough sometimes to go around to all these websites and to find the thing that you need to download to get stuff installed. So there are these tools called package managers on on different operating systems. Brew is the super common one for Mac. It's something that you have to install. It's a third-party application, but it's super common. But it basically allows you to easily install software from a single source. So Brew, in the background, they have the community that manages these packages. And so if you want to install something like Python, like if you want to install Python or Ruby or Go, you can use Brew to install that. Instead of having to go to the site and install it, you can just do something like Brew install VS Code, or Brew install Go, or Brew install Ruby, and it will install it for you. You don't have to worry about going out and finding the package that you need. And so pretty much all operating systems have one. Windows has one that's called Chocolatey that you can use to install applications. Linux, different distributions have different package managers. Like I said, the one I'm using, a Debian based distribution, these use something called apt. And so, darn it, go back up, it's a command line package manager. Other ones use things like yum. So if I want to install something, I can like literally do like apt install like Python. Well, sudo, but ignore the sudo part. But I can type in like apt install Python, and it'll go ahead and it'll try to install Python for me. I already have Python 3 installed. It's trying to install another package for me. But again, it makes it easy. It makes it a single place where you can go ahead and install something from. Package E has no installation candidate. So you probably need to, I don't know if you're on Linux, try running a sudo apt update first before you try to install Vim. But yeah, sudo apt update, try to run that first and then try to install Vim. Great question. Sudo, I say sudo, it might be sudo. I don't think it's sudo though. I'm pretty sure it's not sudo. I'm almost positive about that one. Okay. So once you have it installed and you open it up, it'll take you to a screen that looks like this. And there's a lot of stuff on here. A lot of just things. You probably won't see this stuff because I opened it from the command line, I think. Oh no, I didn't. But generally I don't like to, I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters. Either apt or apt-get should work just fine. I don't know which one is proper. I out of habit type in apt-get, but I think someone told me that apt-get is older and like not as good as apt, so I've like slowly converted, but like I have no idea. I don't know which one's proper. But yeah, this text editor, all it is a place for you to edit text. What you have over on the left side here is the top thing is the Explorer. This is where you can see your files. This is where you can see all the files that you have. So you can see here, this is actually just the directory structure of my computer. So documents, and inside of documents, I have deCoded, and remember I made all these directories, and I can open up a text file, this aaron.txt. I can open up right here and I can edit it. And I can say, yep, I am editing this document. Great, and I can save it. And now I've edited a document. But this is your file explorer. That's what this icon at the top left is. So you can see all your files and folders. You can create a new file just by hitting the plus here and type in like new file. and now I have a brand new file. So it's kind of nice, and you can remove files. So all the things that we just learned from the command line, yes, you can do these things from something like VS Code. I know you might be like, why did we just learn all that? Trust me, it's important. Just hold on. So you can create a file, you can create a folder as well. But yeah, you can do all that. If you're on Linux and on Windows, you can probably open up VS Code from the command line easy. On Mac, I think you have to actively enable it. Is this a GUI? Great question. Yes, this is a graphical user interface. Yes, it is a GUI. What's nice about VS Code, actually, let's run through all the stuff first. As a search functionality over here. So if I wanted to search for a word, or search my files for things, I wanted to find something, I could type in a name, my name, and I can match case, and I can see all the files that had capital Aaron in them. And I can click on it if I wanted. I don't know what these are, but I can click on one and I can start modifying this file if I wanted to. So it's really nice. The search functionality is really great. I can find and replace a bunch of stuff that's in there. Also, I could, down here is Git integration. We're not going to talk about this right now. Just know that it's really cool and pretty important, but just remember that we're not going to talk about the source control integration yet. I know that looks super confusing for you. No big deal. This is the run and debugger. We're going to talk about that later on in the course. This helps you understand your application and be able to, debug it and figure out issues that are going on and to really understand what's going on with your program. And then the last thing at the bottom is your extensions. This is the thing that makes it easy for you to install things that will help you, that will like tools that will help you while you're coding. So that's pretty important. It makes it really nice. Do I already have an update? I do already have an update. That's weird. I'll download it really quick. I'll install it really quick. I want the newest stuff. I like new stuff. So I'm installing it a different way. Like I said, I really like to use my command line to do a lot of things. So I actually just use my command line to install a new version of VS Code. Great. And it's showing me all the updates. April 2020. Nice. I like the new stuff. Okay. So again, extensions, running and debugging, source control, search, and your file explorer. So this is probably your most important one up here. File explorer and extensions is pretty nice. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do everything from here. No, we're not, because everyone's not using the same operating system. First, we're going to install Python. If you're on Mac or Linux, Python's probably already available. We want to install Python 3 though. The way that you can confirm that is from your terminal. You can go in and you can try typing in Python and hitting it and see if anything happens. So right now I get a command not found. This may work for you, especially if you're on a Mac. Just running Python might work for you. If that doesn't work, I want you to also type Python 3. Which may work. Yes, you can type in which Python 3 as well. That'll tell you for sure whether or not you have it. But it'll take you to this. As long as it doesn't say command not found, you probably have it. If you get stuck right here, just hit Control C. Actually Control D. Sorry, Control D. Well, or Control C twice, I think works as well. But Control D to get out of that. Or you can type quit. I believe. I think you can type in quit as well. It's quit with parentheses, or Control D will let you out of there. Now if neither one of those works, you can, let's go ahead and install it. So Python is installable in a few different ways. On Windows, I believe on Windows, there's a Python installer. I'm pretty sure you can just download it. And actually, you know what we're gonna do? Let's actually install it in Windows right now, because Windows has the weirdest install for Python, and Windows has the weirdest install for most things. To be 100% honest with you, so we're gonna Look for, we're gonna Python install. I know it's little, I'll make it bigger, but I'll share this. You can in fact install Python with Chocolatey. If you want. Oh, you remove Python 3 to make space on your computer. I mean, so for this, honestly, for this, you can use Python 2. Python 2 is end of life. I just don't like, I can't really recommend it, but if you have Python 2 available, I don't think there's much that we're going to do that's Python 3 specific. And again, we're really focused on the concepts anyway. So it's not going to be Python specific. But you just need a version of Python, but Python 3 is the only supported version. So I'd recommend having Python 3. But if you're on Windows, go ahead and download, click the download link for Python. There's a big button right here. It'll download the latest one for you. Go ahead and download it somewhere. So I'll put it in my documents. But very important though, when you install it, I already have it, but when you do the installation, it's gonna ask you somewhere in here, right here. And I know this is super tiny. I cannot command plus this, but when you run through the Python installer in Windows, you can keep everything default, except for when it gets to the advanced options, you need to click on the one that says add Python to environment variables. You got to add that. And you need to add that there before you click install. I mean, you can do it if you already installed it. You can click on the installer again and you can fix it. You can click customize and fix it, but and it'll reinstall everything. But if you do not click on this, and you install Python, when you go here and you try to type in Python, it will not. Whoa. It won't work. So it works for me because I already did it. But if you type in Python, it won't work because it won't know where to find it. It won't know where to find Python at. So it's pretty important. But again, pretty easy install on Windows. Pretty easy install on Windows. So just try to run through that. And then the way that you can confirm that it is installed properly is you can go into your command prompt. That's what I'm in now, or PowerShell, or you just open up a new command prompt. Make sure you open up a new one once you install it and try typing in Python. I don't even think you have to type in python.exe. You just type in Python and it will go ahead and it will and you can see if it'll work. So that's how you do it. That's how you do it in Windows. On Mac, you'll have Python. I think Mac needs Python for a lot of things. So Macs should have Python available to you already. I don't think we need to do it on a Mac. How do I check if you have it on a Mac? So Python installations on Mac can be weird too, because Python uses Mac uses Python for some core things. If you just type in which Python, if you get a response, you're good. It's 2.7 on the Mac. If you type in which, WHICH Python, I know it's little, hit enter. It should give you some output like this. As long as it doesn't say, as long as it's not empty, you're probably good. If that doesn't work, try both. Yeah, try both. Try which Python or which Python 3. Python 3 is what, like, if you have both, Python 3 is what we're going to want to use. But either one will do for this course. So everyone with the Mac should be good out of the box already. If you want to install Python 3, again, Python can be real weird. Python installations on Mac can be super weird. So I don't want to break your installation. You do not need Python 3. You would not need Python 3 for this. Python 2 will work just fine, but if you're installing something new, I do recommend 3. And yeah, so if you're using Brew, I do think it's pretty easy to do Brew install Python 3. How do I change the variable you mentioned manually? Great question, Imgene. Windows has an environment variable section. So if you do, if you hit in the search bar, or if you hit the Windows key and type in environments, a thing to change environment variables will pop up. It says edit the system environment variables, and then you gotta like go in here and you gotta like, it's in here somewhere, I don't know, advanced environment variables, the button right here, and you have to add it here. The problem is you gotta know what the path is, and like, just, I will let the application do it for you, to be 100% honest. I will let the installer do it for you. Re-download it if you need to. Mine isn't working from the command line in Mac. So that sounds like you don't have Python installed. What I would recommend, if you're on a Mac, what I would recommend if you're on a Mac is to install this, which is Homebrew, which is a one, like all you got to do is copy this line right here. So I'm going to share this. I would head over there. Oh, perfect. Close it and open it. Perfect. Excellent. Yeah, definitely make sure if you installed it with a command prompt open and it's not working, make sure you close that command prompt and reopen it. Yeah, and once anyone on a Mac, if you want to install Homebrew, which is I highly recommend, you just copy this one long command, you paste it in your terminal, and it'll do all the work for you. So yeah, try that out. By the way, I use Linux. Dope. I use Linux 2.0's theory. Isn't it just the best? Sometimes. Yeah, you could try a couple of the different things. Python-v, I think will give you the version. What's up, NC Mage? Welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for the follow. Python was -v. Whoops, I don't even have. I need to create a symlink. Wow, that's interesting. So Python is one of the things that we're going to need. Now, once you get Python installed, I'm not sure how to check the version. Oh, sorry, Python-v puts it in a verbose mode. Check the version. You just type in Python. I think it's dash version, I believe, and that will give you the version. You're hating Ubuntu right now? To install it via Ubuntu, all you got to do is do sudo apt install python 3. If you're on Linux, it's like the same thing. I find it's like the same thing as Debian. But yeah, if you want to install it via, if you were using Ubuntu, you're trying out Linux or Debian, this is the command that you would need to install it right here, and that would install Python for you. Yeah, but if you're on a Mac, just type in Python -- version. It'll give it to you. Now, yeah, there we go. So now what you're gonna do is you're going to go to your VS Code. So go ahead and open up VS Code. I'll talk about sudo in a second. Head into VS Code and click on the extensions tab. And this allows you to search Microsoft's extensions marketplace. I can show you where to get it from, like the actual browser, but you can do it here, and you can see Python's super popular. And you know, type in Python if it's not already up there, and I want you to click on the very first one, so you can actually click on it before you install it. And look how many installs it has, over 19 million installs, and it's almost got a 5-star rating. But what is this extension? What do these extensions do? A Visual Studio Code extension with rich support for Python languages 2.7 and greater than or equal to 3.5, including things such as IntelliSense, linting, debugging, code navigation, code formatting, Jupyter Notebook support, refactoring, Variable Explorer, Test Explorer, snippets, and more. A lot of stuff there. Whole lot of stuff there. Not super important. Well, it is super important, but all this is saying is these are all just tools to help you develop faster. All of it is just tools to help you develop faster. So all you got to do to install it is click install. Super easy. Like for Sublime Text, it's a little more complicated. I don't really know how it works with Atom, but it's super easy here. You don't even have to restart. You click the install, and now we have Python support. It already had some Python support out of the box, but this gives us all things that we need to do all the things that we would ever need to do in Python. So yeah, there's nothing else fancy there. That's just how we do it. Cool. So we're also going to need this to do this, a similar thing with JavaScript. So we're going to be doing some stuff with JavaScript, and the only reason we're going to be doing the only reason we're using two different interpreted dynamically typed languages is because JavaScript acts very different from most of the other ones, and I think it's going to be important to show you the behavior of each of these things. Yes, you can use idle for Python, and if you're using And if you're using PyCharm, you can just use PyCharm for Python, but you'll still need something else. Most likely, if you want the ease of use, you'll need to use something else for the other languages that we're gonna do. Oh, okay. So, Slime Yeshua, did you type in sudo? It sounds like you have a current install happening. And I'll snap changing. It sounds like a snap is already being installed. That's what it seems like from that. Yes, I think it's due. I do think it's due to live updates. MG, completely okay. I feel you. What do you? If you have any questions to help get you back on track, any specifics, ask away. Don't feel crazy. What specifically are you lost with? Yes, PyCharm is overcomplicated. I don't recommend. I recommend just a text editor to kind of get started. But if you're lost installing Python, that's like it's definitely understandable. But let me know. Definitely let us know what you are lost with. And if you're not sure what you're lost with, I say take some screenshots and stick them into the into the Slack. Wrist rest with folding old t-shirts. I actually like that. I got this chair and like I like the armrest, and they've kind of been working as wrist rests for me. Okay, so that's the first thing that we're gonna do. But I can't get it from the command line in Windows. Yeah. So did you click that box when you were installing it? Did you click the let's see, display capture is still going. Did you click? Oops. Hold on. Downloads. Date modified. Odd documents. Yeah, did you click the little box that says add to environment variables? Sometimes it doesn't always work. Also, try it in if you can't get in the command prompt, try seeing if it works inside of PowerShell. So just hit the Windows key and type in PowerShell. See if it works inside of PowerShell. Because sometimes I've seen it work inside of PowerShell and not the command prompt. Pretty interesting. Yeah, Homebrew takes a little bit to install. It does. It's not crazy fast. It does take a little bit to install. Okay, so before we even install anything else, and what time is it? All right, we're running a little short, but here's what I want you to do. If you have this open and you install the Python thing, we can go ahead and make a quick Python app, to be honest, application, to be honest. Not app, but like just a quick hello world app. So on some of your computers, you might not see anything over here. I don't know where it opens up on your computer. I usually never open it the way that I just opened it. But I want you to do, wherever you are, I want you to just hit the new file button. So all I want you to do is gonna open up a new file. I want you to call it hello-world-py and hit enter. So hello world-py. And when you do that, I'll give you some time to add that to do it. But what it'll do is it'll start to jump into action. It'll start to say, hey, some things aren't installed that I think could help you out. So you can do that. I can click install. I have no pip right now. X out all those boxes off to the right. We don't need those right now. Not super important. Yes, open a PowerShell for me. Dope. Perfect. We're gonna get JS installed in a little bit. But with Python, what's JS did I want you to add? I want you to add Node, whatever, either the LTS of Node or what is it, 12 dot something right now is the LTS or latest. Doesn't matter which version. Just I didn't say I didn't need the JavaScript extensions yet. But I don't know, whatever the top one. There's a popular one. Yeah, the ECMA 6 one, I think is the one that we want. It's this one, JavaScript ES6 code snippets. That'll give us some snippets, and then there's also, we're not gonna do a TypeScript. This should be fine. I mean, So this has good JavaScript support right out of the box, to be honest, but this will give us some new text snippets. So we're going to talk about that in a second. We're not there yet, but you can download that if you want, or whichever ones you want. So that file that we just opened up. So remember, if you were trying to catch up, hit the little new file button, make a file called hello-world.py. And then once you do that, we'll go ahead and really quick, just write our own Hello World application, and we'll start to see some of the reasons why this is great. So I'll start typing in PRI. So Hello World application is one that just prints out Hello World to the screen. It's commonly the first application you'll write whenever you get to a new language. What's up, Lita? What's up? I don't know how to read or pronounce that. I'm sorry, but welcome to the channel. Glad to have you. But notice how some things start to pop up. Look at that. Because we installed support for Python, it knows the things that are available to us. So if you don't know what to type in all the way, or if you don't know how something works, this will help you understand it. So print, and you can see how I changed colors. So type in print, and that's IntelliSense, that's syntax highlighting. And so I put these parentheses here, and look, it tells me what print does. Like, this does take a little bit of time to learn how to understand and read this documentation, but it's documentation on what the thing that you're doing does. And so, like, it's really nice. It's really nice because sometimes you don't know what's going on, or someone may have written something and you're not sure what it does. You can just put your mouse over it, and look at that. It tells you what the thing is that's sitting there. It'll tell you what it does. Prints values to a stream, or the sys.st standard out by default, optional keyword arguments. So yeah, that might be super confusing, but again, that's something that'll become more comfortable to you. But all we're gonna do in here is we're gonna do quotes. What did we say about quotes? We said whenever you see those double quotes in programming, you should be thinking strings. What are strings? Strings are words and phrases, letters, words and phrases. And so we're just gonna type in here the words and phrases that we want to print out. So we type in hello world, and this is your first application. What's not popping up, like this stuff here? Not a big deal if it's not popping up. That's actually a good thing if nothing popped up. It might pop up once you create the file, but yeah, once you create the file, it might pop up. But if not, it's not a big deal. Am I only downloading the Python extension? The one, yes, correct. Sean from LA, that's the one you're gonna download. The one with 19 million downloads by Microsoft. And again, those extensions, I want to be clear that they're not necessary for you to be able to properly run this code, to be able to properly do this stuff. It just has some helpful tools. And I want you to be familiar with the ecosystem that exists with Python and that exists within VS Code in particular. Appreciate that bit, man. I really do. Really appreciate it. So yeah, so this is our first application, and once you get that, the option I want you to check is, hold on, control. I want you to check the it's like there's like an install environment variable. Add Python to environment variables. That's the one I want you to check. Add Python to environment variables. That's going to be the one you need to check. Super important for Windows. All right, so you get this in, you save it. Now, VS Code is nice because you never actually have to leave it. You have a couple options here. To run the code, you can hit this button right here. The green triangle will allow you to run the code that you care about. How did I get to, so in the installer, I think it's like the third page. Like I just click, like if you go to the Python installer, if you start it up, it's like the second or third page that you can see. But go ahead and just click this right here, and look what it does. It actually opens up a terminal right here. So this terminal is the same as the terminal you used before. If you're on Windows, it'll open this up as well, in a command prompt. And it runs my code. It spits out a bunch of stuff, but it does in fact run our code, which is great. What's good to know about this is actually that a lot of people really like the terminal that's in here. So you can click terminal, new terminal, and now you have a terminal in here at all times. So you can use control tilde or control backtick to make it come up and go down, but that's not super important. What's super important is that you have it available to you, and you know all the same stuff that we just learned. LS, this all looks familiar, right? Documents, LS, and all that, and like I can do all those things, which is super nice. Yeah, pretty nice. But to run your code easily, go ahead and just hit the play button right here. Yes, the code for the way that you just run, so this is how we ran it. The way that you actually run it is the same thing way you just said it with Node. To run it manually, look, I have hello world.py right here. I want to run it via the command line. I type in Python or Python 3, whichever one you're using, and the name of the file. And that will go ahead and it will run my Python application. So, you know, not super crazy. Look, your first program, look how it's relatively simple. Nothing super wild. The word print, you got some parentheses here, you got some quotes, you got some words in between. And to run it, you just call Python and you pass in the file as an argument. So you just Python and the name of the file, and that's how you run it. Or to keep it simple, you can just click the play button up here. Yeah, you can ignore the pip installer available thing. Just X out of that box. It's annoying, but just X out of it. Not a big deal. We don't want to worry about pip right now. How to open a new file with the Python editor, if that makes sense. If you mean in here, it's make sure you're clicked right here on the Explorer, and then highlight, bring your mouse right here, and click New File. And if you don't have the play button, did you save the file? Did you hit Control S? I think before you save the file, you will not see the play button. So or hit File and Save, and then I think you should see the play button. Let me know if that helps at all. You select the Mac OS system install Python, which is not recommended for Python extensions. Oh yeah, yes. So this is what I was talking about the weird Python stuff with Mac in particular. So Mac needs that older version of Python and stuff to do certain things. I actually think I think it's like a safety message from VS Code. But I don't think it'll affect the things that you're trying to do. It's just like hey, like just something to be aware of. But to get the to fix this, you might there might be a way. Maybe I can find a video or something. You might have to set your Mac to look at a different Python installation or something. Not really sure how to do that offhand. Yeah. All right, so that's good. You got a syntax error. That's great. Unexpected end of file while parsing. Look at this. I can get that error too. Syntax error, unexpected end of file while parsing. That means your code isn't complete. Or incorrect. Imgene, perfect. Thanks for pasting that. What you got is print is not defined. You put a capital P. That is your problem. It doesn't know what capital P is. Print, and you can see how the colors change here. And if I put my mouse over top, nothing happens when I put my mouse over top because it's not a thing. It needs to be a lowercase. It is case sensitive for these things. So that's super common. I'm glad. See, I want you all to explore, I want you to do exactly stuff like that. Just try it out, put stuff in, you'll run into errors. And you'll also start to see how you can read the error to know what happened. Again, the errors are not super clear. But they're more clear than you think. So like that unexpected EOF, you might not understand what EOF is like, and when that happens, Google all of it, Google the whole thing, and you'll start to see answers and read through them, and you'll start to see, hey, it's unexpected in the file. It's not reading something properly. But yes, type in clear if you want to clear that up. Did you add the extension at the end of the file name? That's a good question. I like this troubleshooting. I like the team troubleshooting we have going on right here. But cool. All right, it's already 9:30. What I'm going to do is for everyone who needs to go, I'm going to include I'm going to include the instructions for how to install Node.js and Golang as a part of the homework. I actually think that'll be fun to try to do, because one, it might challenge you a little bit. It might challenge you a little bit. I encourage you to hop in the Slack. I encourage you to hop in the Discord to get help if you run into any trouble. Mine is not doing anything when I press play. What do you have? Do you have exactly this typed in? It's interesting, but everyone's gonna have, a lot of people are gonna have issues with a lot of these things, and it's gonna be a significant learning experience. I tell you, you're gonna learn so much on trying to Google the errors that you get. So I highly encourage you to do that. Even if nothing you read makes sense, it's okay. Read it a little bit. Start to get comfortable looking at technical answers and technical documentation, and like the act of just looking at what the computer spits out, even if it doesn't make any sense to you. The act of like seeing this really does something to your brain, and it starts to help you recognize patterns. So go through, try that out. Don't only download Python in VS Code. Yes, if you're going to be using VS Code as your editor, you're all good. Yes, I'll include a list. I'm going to put it as a homework assignment. The only other things, like I said, I want you to install is Node.js, which should be pretty easy. That one should be pretty easy for you to install. I think for the installer is much easier. And the other one is Go. So Go, you don't stress yourselves out about installing Go. Appreciate the 100 bits, Imgene. Do not stress yourself out at all about installing Go, because I'll show you why. Because Go has a playground. So Go has this right here that you can just do Go code in. But I want you to try to install it, because you'll probably learn a little bit of Linux stuff. And golang.org. I'm gonna put that into, you know what? Actually, here. Why are we even doing it this way? Let's put it right in the Google Classroom right now. Assignment. There is a quiz for you dropping. It's actually dropping. I'm having it dropping the morning after now. Only because I can set it to drop tonight too. The only reason I did that is because a lot of people asked about the availability of the quiz and stuff during the beginning of the stream yesterday. And just so I don't want your mind on too many different things, I'll have it drop at the very end of the week, or the end of your bootcamp day for the week. So I can change it to drop tonight, but it's set to drop in the morning. But let's see, coding language installations. We need to have access to the following programming languages. And so I'll post a link to the Python or to some documentation for Python. We want I'm going to type in JavaScript. Actually, I'm going to type in Node.js, which it's just JavaScript. And the last thing is Go. Appreciate the bits, Crib 724. Appreciate it, Sean from LA. Really do appreciate it. Got the hype train going. Thank you so much. Let's paste this in. So before everyone goes though, I want you to know, I know it's a lot. I've been here. I know it's a lot. I promise you. I actually think the stuff that we kind of did tonight is a little bit harder than the kind of beginning concepts of programming, because again, a lot of things that we're gonna be learning about are going to be conceptual, and I know how it's a lot all at once. It's a lot all at once, but it's important, and you're gonna fumble through a lot of it, but you're gonna fumble through it like you're gonna fumble through it in a way that is gonna allow it to start to for you to make progress and like have some of that instant gratification and some of the things that's going to encourage you to keep going, but also it's going to compound how quickly you learn as you start to pick up multiple concepts at once. It'll all start to make a lot of sense. But trust me, every week I'm going to try to encourage you through the tough. Like it's going to be a little bit tough. It's not going to be super easy. It's not going to be super easy, but I 100% you know, just fight through it for a little while. And by week 4, you're gonna be like, oh man, like all that stuff I struggled with 3 weeks ago, like I got that stuff now. And you're gonna be struggling with some new stuff, but you're gonna know this stuff, and it's gonna be super nice. I promise you, it's gonna be super nice. Let's put this, I made an assignment, ungraded, put it under, whoops, I did not mean to do that. All students, topic, we'll put it under a little bit of Linux. And we will assign, oh, and VS Code, yeah, sure. That makes sense. Cool. Yeah, that's good for anyone who's going to be watching this afterwards as well. So that's in there. That's available for you. So excellent. Yeah, that's it for tonight. Appreciate that purple shadow. Thank you, the Dev08. Thank you all so much. Thanks, Cribs, again. I think that's another 100 bits. I appreciate the hype train. Coding Garden rated calibration last night at the end of his stream. They both loved it pretty. Yeah, I saw. I was actually in the Coding Gardens channel. Because we were. Yeah, I was in the Coding Gardens channel. And thanks everyone for getting him over his mark. He was pretty excited about that, and I was in that raid back to calibration. It was pretty dope. I really love. Like I said, I'm really loving the community here in the science and tech section, learning a lot. Appreciate the sub, Navadino. Thank you so much. All right, so what I want you to do, we're at the end of the week. What do I want you to do? I want you to, if you're completely lost, again, take a look back at the stuff. Just look through the stuff again, maybe rewatch the stream. Instead, as we get to a concept that you didn't understand, instead of just listening to the stream again, go Google that thing, go look at another video on YouTube about it, go read a little bit about it, get some more context around it. The pieces will start to fall together. A lot of the Linux stuff comes with practice. Like when I learned Linux, I got to sit down for 6 months at a company and basically have them teach me Linux. And it took that long. So it's not going to come day one. But I think there are a lot of concepts with Linux that you can start playing with and just moving around. You can just get comfortable every day, just going in, get the muscle memory down of typing in CD and CD ... Just get the muscle memory down. A lot of what we do ends up becoming muscle memory. So yeah, you do not need VS Code or Linux. You need a text editor. I just recommend VS Code. You do not need Linux. You don't at all. Anything we need to do for Windows while installing JS? No, not that I know of. I'm pretty sure JavaScript works, Node just works super fine. You just click through the installer. I think it's very easy on Windows, actually. And I think the Windows installation of Node gives you all the good stuff like NPM and like some other stuff that we were probably going to use later. But Windows probably has the easiest for that. So, and for Go, I think it makes it easy there too. But thank you all very much. So, now the question is, who are we rating tonight? That's always the question of the evening. Let's check it out. I want to get someone a smaller channel. I think I really want to encourage people to kind of just keep going perfect. So let's check this out. There's a dude, I think I've seen him on here before, RW Grimm. He's doing open source programming. I believe he works on a project called Pigeon, which is like a Linux, well, it's an open source messaging app. But we talked about open source stuff tonight for the first time. I think that might be pretty cool. Let's head over and say hi to him and see what he's doing. But yeah, everyone have a great night. If you're interested in any of the DevOps SRE stuff, into the software delivery stuff, we'll be doing that on Saturday with the Pipelines Bootcamp. Keep an eye out as well for the quiz. It'll be up. You can take it whenever. Again, none of the stuff expires, so you have it. But yeah, let's head over. What's his name? RW Grimm. So I'll type it right first time. RW Grimm. Oh, actually, hold on. I like RW Grimm. The only thing is, today's Thursday. Is Prime on? Prime's never on. Prime changed his days. We gotta go say hi to Prime. if you guys want, if you guys like high energy and you want to learn a lot, he's very smart. If you're trying to learn Vim, if you're trying to learn TypeScript, if you're trying to learn anything, he's crazy smart. We're gonna head over to Prime again because he gave me my first like big raid, and he's the person I watched the most. And again, we used to overlap pretty heavily, but now we don't anymore. So let's head over and say hi, since there are a fair amount of us. He's always the person I type his name wrong too many times as well. So the Prime, come on, Prime Agin. Appreciate that, Sean from LA. Appreciate it. I really do. All right, we're out of here in 10 seconds. Thank you guys so much for another great stream. I'm telling you, show this guy some love. He's really smart. I highly recommend you stick around. He's very, very entertaining. But yeah, I'll see you all later. Let's go.